See here, somebody just sent me a video of some technique that's going viral right now. I think I will go ahead and press it and start watching it. Oh, look at that's Renee from the Bethlehem crew. Yeah, look at that. Oh, he's hitting a buggy choke. Damn, he's got that locked on Derek Rayfield. Yeah, that's not looking good. What the shit is this? Why are we doing this now? No. Oh, God, no. Why? This should be fucking illegal. This is unfair. Listen, you little shits. I was already scared enough to put people in side control. You know what happens when you don't have much talent? You put people in side control and wish for the best. That's literally my move. Now you tell me side control's not safe anymore? Jiu-Jitsu's already hard enough. The last thing we need is somebody with extra flexibility who says, oh, while in a buggy choke, I can also buggy choke you too. Like, why are we even doing jiu-jitsu anymore? Honestly, we should all just stop. Listen, as an old person who is doing jiu-jitsu, I don't need whatever this bullshit is. Because now you know every tall and flexible person is going to be trying to do this. Oh, it's official. I should just stop doing jiu-jitsu. But you know what you shouldn't stop doing? Watching the show. You're watching the Grappling Hour. Hey, what's up, everybody? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Esparza, welcoming you to another episode of Grappling Hour. We have an incredible episode with great guests, but I want to start the show off by addressing a little bit of, I guess, controversy that's happening within the sport. Why this is controversial, I don't know, but I guess we'll explain it. So last week, Mikey Musumeci ends up winning by a move that he refers to as, I think, the Mikey lock. Not really sure the branding on that, but okay. He's claiming that he invented a move. Does it look like he invented a move to me? No. I also am an idiot about this sort of stuff. The rest of the community, however, seems to have taken umbrage with this young man saying that he invented a move. Okay, so I guess we should look at the harms of this. Number one, it seems that Mikey, who's not been doing leg locks for a long time, seems to have become an enthusiast and is actually taking out some top-tier talent with a move. The rest of the community, however, seems like it is almost disrespectful to those people who have been practicing leg locks, and that his unfamiliarity with their work may seem like a little bit of a slight, or at the very least, in its most innocent form, as being not informed well enough. I can understand that, but who cares? Like, is this really something that you are going to die on a hill about? There's a couple funny memes. I think they're within good taste of saying, all right, listen, you invented a move. That's fine. I think Mikey can handle some of that shit. I will say, however, that the approach that some people have about this issue may be the thing that stifles creativity within jiu-jitsu. Yes, we are in a sport that has been around far longer than any of us, and perhaps the people who instructed us would even have familiarity with. However, if you put limitations and say it's already been done, the urge to want to innovate will sometimes get stifled. So I think at a certain level, even if you don't believe the kid is inventing a move, perhaps get to know the ins and outs of why he thinks he invented it. And for those of you who are bitching that we don't know our history well enough, you know it's a great opportunity to tell us more about that? I'm not looking to do any jokes on Mikey about this shit. Good luck to him. He seems to be doing well with it. And if you listen to his training partners, he's landing it with a good amount of precision thus far in. So who knows if we see more of that coming up soon. But Mikey, congratulations. You did a great thing. You should be proud of yourself. I will say, however, it does bear a kind of resemblance to other stuff. So I might need you to explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. And then maybe I'll understand. But until then, I'm just going to say, maybe I've seen it before. And leave it at that. But if you think you invented it, A+ to you. All right, let's get to our show today. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to all of you guys who are tuning in this week. We have some major news that we will get to in a little bit, but for right now, I want to go ahead and take us to our first interview with a longtime friend of the show. He is headlining the LXF card that is happening over in Burbank this weekend, and I hope that you enjoy this interview with our longtime friend, Albert Morales.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I've got great news for you. I've run into a friend. This guy and I go way back. Now, when I talk about this gentleman here, over the years, we've gone from training together. I've interviewed him for a number of his fights. He's one of those people that is one of my reliable friends within the community, and I always love the opportunity to get to train with this guy. So, ladies and gentlemen, he's got a fight coming up for LXF, otherwise known as Lights Out Fighting, that is happening on October 30th. If you don't have tickets, it's okay. It's going to be on FUBU, is what I think it's called. Is that what it's called?
It's FUBU.
Okay. I want to say Forest Bias, the FUBU,
yeah, exactly. That's kind of thing.
Clothing line, but it's not that one, so don't sue them. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the show. One, Albert the Warrior Morales. You're wearing the shirt, so I was just going to say Albert Morales, but now I see the branding. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Hey, that was an awesome intro, dude. Warmed my heart, man.
Well, dude, you know what happens is like you get to a point where when you've known somebody for so long, we've run into each other at tournaments. We've run into each other at other people's fights. And there's always a moment where we would say like, hey, let's catch up, or I'll see you later. I'll see you at this. And during the pandemic, you very graciously opened the doors for me to come train a few times. And if I didn't train there, I don't know how much training I would have gotten in. So I was very appreciative of that. And it gave us a chance to kind of reconnect and get a few rounds in together, because I very much always appreciate that.
Yeah, you know what? And I didn't think about that. For a while, we would always run into each other, and I'd be like, "Yo, we're gonna try." You would actually call me out all.
Well, okay, because I know that you're originally from, what is it, Reseda?
Yes, sir.
So anytime you were in Reseda visiting friends and family,
true,
I would just be like, "Where are you at?" And you'd go, and there would never be a good excuse. It would just be like, "Nah, I just didn't."
Yeah, at least I try to be as honest as possible, dude. But yeah, but I always wanted to kick it. I remember we met at Systems Training Center for the first time, and we had great roles there. We were always cool. I started to met Kevin too.
Yeah.
So super cool, man. And then, like I said, I always flaked out on you and stuff like that. So, the pandemic, a lot of bad stuff happened, but a lot of good stuff happened. And us training again, and yeah, you actually helped me. You cornered me at that fight.
I did.
The super fight, So, that's one good thing that happened from the pandemic as well.
Absolutely. And like I said, it's just kind of one of those things where I don't like to over-invite myself places. So when you had these training sessions going on, I was like, cool. I see you've got a mix of new guys and a mix of people who I'm like, I have not trained with that person. I want to train with that person. So I would make sure to get in some rounds. And then on good occasions, you and I would get some rolls in. And I always appreciate that. So
Same. And I'd appreciate you rolling, because a lot of those guys were actually half of them were my friends, including yourself. And then the other half were like my students, guys that trained with me. So it was cool because then they got to see what you were like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
That next level. And, yeah, for sure, dude. You are, whether you want to admit it or not,
Here's what it is that I think there are things that I cover well in terms of basics. And more importantly, I have a game that won't hurt people. So I think that's a big problem and I've seen it happen with different people who sometimes are recognizable. A lot of them are athletes. Yeah. When they go to a different gym, it's like they got to prove themselves. It's like, I have nothing to prove. So you either think I'm okay at this or you don't, and I really don't care. And when people are like, hey, yeah, you're pretty good at this, I go, I'm fine.
Yeah,
that's about as much as I'll say.
Humble.
Because I know what real good is. So it's like if you went into a boxing gym and somebody said like, yo, man, you're like a Mayweather, you'd be like, thank you. I've seen Mayweather fight. I don't know that I'd put myself right there.
I feel you on that.
It's just a matter of saying, I know what really good is, and I feel like I am very respectful of my level. But let's talk about you, sir. I want to ask you about this. You mentioned that I cornered you about a week ago at the Submission Only Series fights.
Awesome event.
It was a great thing. The thing that I talked to you and I roasted you a little bit about was, I was like, why are you taking this match several weeks before your Lights Out main event? And what did you say?
I want to get some training in. Pretty much. I don't remember exactly but I know that's the mindset that I was thinking. I like to compete. And when I was at my best, like I would say my amateur, the beginning of my pro career, I was just fighting. I mean, my amateur career was about 9 months. I had 5 fights.
Yeah.
And then I went professional 2 months after my last fight. So, and I was very like active. So I figured, get jiu-jitsu in. I don't think I'll get hurt. I mean, it can happen, but I was like, well, good thing I had you on my back too. You know what I mean? But I mean, and you also came and helped me out a couple of times too. You know what I mean? Came to my gym right here and late night and helped me and, got me familiar with the rule set, so I appreciate that too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, my thing is always like, you have a very specific set of jiu-jitsu that you usually put into an MMA game because you're fighting. So like, sometimes I want to be like, fam, we're not doing EBI overtime in fights. We're not trying to heel hook people here. So there's a few adjustments that I try to make with people when I get to roll with them and I know when it's coming up. And conversely, like if I know you're fighting, I roll a certain way.
Yeah.
Like I just try to make that in there. But well, what did you think of the experience? Did that make you want to compete more in jiu-jitsu events? Did you miss it? Because I knew you were also competing gi and no gi 2 weeks prior at a tournament locally here in Southern California.
Definitely. It made me more excited. I want to compete more of the EBI rules. Mm-hmm. I like the overtime. The overtime is real cool. But I mean, it's crazy because people might not know this, but I actually love jiu-jitsu more than anything. And I lost it when I got into the UFC because I knocked out one guy before I got signed to the UFC. And then all of a sudden I thought I was Conor McGregor trying to knock everybody out. But in reality, most of my fights were actually won on the ground. Yeah. And I love jiu-jitsu. I got it tattooed on my hands, Carlson Gracie, all day. So yeah, I mean, I already had that respark because like you said, I competed at those tournaments before. And I knew that's where I was lacking probably the most. You have to resharpen it. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to fall back in love with jiu-jitsu. So the best way to do it is compete. And then trying that new EBI rule set was a little bit different too. So it was cool. I think it's depends on how you want to take it, but it can help you out in MMA a lot.
I think the principles are good. It's the best way I've explained it to people is we've got other stuff to do.
Yeah.
So it just gives us a winner to go on with in a tournament setting. But I do remind people that it doesn't mean you're better at jiu-jitsu than the other person. It just means like we got to move on. We kind of need to flip a coin and say one of you won, one of you didn't. And in your case, you did a great job during the regulation at that tournament. And, I remember talking to you afterwards and I was like, dude, obviously things were different in overtime in terms of how they go. But I was like, it's a good learning experience and you're not hurt. And for fight purposes, I was like, damn, dude, you were looking good. Like your control was good. Your composure was good. And one of the things that we were talking about a lot was, when you get to that good position, not overdoing it. Like making sure like you maintain that position. And I thought you did an excellent job. I mean, dude, you literally had enough time to start reading a book in the mount that you were in. Like that's how controlled you were in that situation. So I took that as a really good sign for what could happen next. Not that that's a game plan or anything. I'm just saying it's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, and that's one thing that we talked about too. It was just make sure that we have a bigger purpose. We have a fight coming up. So it was like, don't, and the corner, you also, and, my friend Alex and Yana was there as well, just telling me, stay on top, control. So it was good. It's just another, training for the fight. So.
And it's wild, dude, because I saw him coaching as well, and I was like, I don't want to overstep my boundaries. Are you doing that? No, but he was so nice and so good, and I thought that was super dope. So, dude, I would love to see you more and more in jiu-jitsu. Like you mentioned, I mean, I remember going to tournaments where you were competing, and you were the guy rushing out to like very quickly go compete. And I remember you did really, really well at that. And one of our first people that we really got to roll with as like a pro fighter. I do remember you're one of those first people that we really got to do that with. So it's weird because you get on that come up at the very beginning in very different stages. Me doing this, you fighting.
Yeah.
And so whenever we run into each other, it's always like, oh my God, I hope things are going well. Are you good? How's that going? So I'm seeing you kill it, man, because your Instagram presence has grown so well. You have fostered a community like over the past few months, and you've done such a good job of engagement. I wish I could teach people what you're doing, which is you're putting up questions, You're putting up regular posts per day. Some of it's funny. You're putting your passions. So I'm seeing all of your shoes that you're buying, like all of this like dope shit. And I think of most of the fighters I've seen, you really have done a great job of branding it. And in a short amount of time, you really raised the amount of people who are following you. So how did you go about doing that? Is that something you consciously think about as you're doing your Instagram?
Not really, man. Honestly, like, social media is something that I kind of love and hate, you know, like I don't like the fact that I'm always on my phone, you know, like
I feel that. Okay.
Yeah, like I'll like stop at a light and I'm going to look at my phone and scroll and see the same thing that I just saw not too long ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like I can't stand it, but at the same time I know how necessary it is. And then I also know that it also can help people. You know, I know that sometimes, I mean, I've had days where I'm like kind of feeling bad and someone will post something dope. And I'm like, whether it's an inspirational quote, a pair of sneakers, like you said, I like sneakers. I'm not copying all of them. I want to cop the ones that I post. But dude, I never, I mean, it's hard with the robots and all that stuff like that. But I you know, I love shoes. Anything that I love, like anytime I see something I like, it's going to make me feel different from what like if I had a negative thought, you know? So social media is you know, it's a gift and a curse at the same time, but I do think that there's a lot of good that comes out of it too, you know. And on top of that, branding yourself and marketing brings sponsors, so it's a lot of good stuff.
It's a drug. I think that's the nicest way of dancing around. You explain all of the things. It's like, I don't know, I could quit it if I want, but it's good for me, and I think people like it when I'm on it. Like, it is a drug. I think that it is very important that you find a thing that works for you. So a lot of times, you know, I realize that too. It's like my business. I remember once my mother-in-law, she saw me on the phone and she was like, why are you on the phone? I was like, do you know how much work I'm doing on this?
Facts.
Like,
Facts.
I don't have games on my phone.
Yeah.
I don't take time off. I'm literally working on something in my downtime to make the most of my day.
100, dude.
So that's just something that I think sometimes, again, you have to balance it. You have to say like, all right, now I'm done. So I've been doing a little bit of like house chores work when I like put my phone away. Yeah. And it's hard because sometimes I want to be like, if somebody messaged me, I don't want to just be like, oh, sorry, I was washing the dishes. But it's what helps me stay sane around my house and like keep things straight. So
100.
It's something like that, even as small as it is, for an hour or 2 hours at a time where I've got it away, that I go, okay, if they really get into needing to get a hold of me, they'll either call or it'll pop up somewhere on like a computer or something. So it's fine.
Yeah.
What was the first shoe though that you remembered buying? Because if you have this love for Nikes and Jordans, I'm curious, was it a fascination for young Albert or did it like kick in a few years later?
No, it was a young Albert thing.
Okay.
The first shoe was the patent black and gold Air Jordan 1s. They just recently re-released them. I have a version of it, but the original one was a patent leather black, all black shoe with a gold Nike sign.
Yeah.
And I saw it in middle school. And the two kids that were in my grade that were like the coolest kids had them. And I remember seeing them, and I didn't give a crap that they were cool because I was cool in my own way because I was a fighter. I had, you know, people knew who I was because I was crazy Albert. I get in fights, but I just remember my mom couldn't afford those. Like she would try to, she'd buy me Converse and stuff like that. But I remember I was like, man, those J's look so dope because they're shiny, and I always wanted them. And then in high school, I would collect Chucks, Vans, because that's what I could afford. All my friends had SBs and stuff like that, but I was cool with what I had. But when I got to the UFC, I had a little bit of money. So I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to buy some shoes. And then it went like, I'm going to start collecting them.
Oh my God, dude.
But I've always been a fan of sneakers, always.
Good on you. And let me just explain this for non-brown people. Sometimes brown people go through different phases. When you're in high school, sometimes it's like, nah, I do Vans now. Or I do this. Because I remember I went through a phase where my sister would bring me some kind of shoe. And I was like, no. And she was like, what? I was like, I don't even care, but I'm not wearing those.
Oh,
and like, she was being so nice. And I was just like, no, I don't wear those. And I was like, who am I? And I think after that point, I just go, if it's comfortable, I'll wear it. Like, I changed very quickly off of that. But I knew because when you're posting on your social media, you'll put up a thing that goes, we didn't get it today, fam. And my heart breaks every time. But I also think logistically, it's probably good because that's a lot of money that starts becoming a habit. But I just always wondered because you got that first pair, and to most people, that first pair is a fascination that makes them want to have it forever. What is your best pair of shoes that you have right now, though?
It depends on what you're thinking. Like, as far as, like, I mean, the value, I have a pair called the Nike SB Habibis.
Okay.
They're going
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're pretty nice. They're like, I think they were made in Saudi Arabia, and they have like, they're a double Nike sign. One is green, one is black. There's a bunch of different materials. And then the shoelace is probably the best part. It's, what's the turban called? It's, oh man, I forgot what it's called. It's driving me crazy. It's not a turban, or it's like a scarf.
Okay.
It's a scarf, and it's usually red and white or something like. They come in different colors.
Understood.
But it has the shoelace in that. So it looks really cool. It looks really cool. My favorite shoe that I have in my collection right now, I mean, it would probably be the Bread One of all time. That's the Air Jordan 1. That Jordan. So when Nike first gave him his shoes, they gave him the black and red colorway, and the NBA said, no, you can't wear it because it had to have majority of the team's color, right?
Right.
And so they eventually made the Chicago, which is the white, red, and a little bit of black. But that black and red one, they didn't allow it. Like, he actually got fined.
Yeah, I remember
every time he wore it. And so I forgot how much he was getting fined, but it was called the Band eventually. And the fact that it was banned, it made it my favorite shoe. So I have that shoe. That's one of my favorites. And then I also like, I have some Kobe. Actually, the first pair of Kobe's I like. I called them the Steelers. I don't know what their names are, but the Kobe 8 Steelers are probably my favorite shoe. So
that's dope to know because, dude, I used to work at a Big Five sporting goods, so a lot of what we do is we sell shoes. But the problem is when people would come, they'd be like, "Yo, I'm looking for some Jordans." I'm like, "You're not gonna look for them here." Like, I don't know what to tell you, but they would come to us and be like, "Give me your Jordans." I'd be like, "Yo, these are the wackest Jordans that I think we could possibly throw at somebody." I'd be like, "Here you go," and they go, "Yo, look at how fly these Jordans are." I was like, "They're okay, man. Like, are you really gonna pay this much for them?" Because, like, this, of course, the emergence of the internet. Now people they can buy them much easier, but they would look at them and they go, "I can't find any others, man. These are the only Jordans I can get." And I go, "You know what, dude? Live that dream then. I'm not gonna ruin it
Straight
for you."
up.
But it was hard to see. So I understand that part of the journey. It is not an obsession that I share, but I found over the years that I don't have to share your passion for something to kind of have an appreciation for you liking it and what it does for you. So when I do see those posts, I was like, I'm going to ask him about that next time because I know a base level, but I like being educated and learning more of those things. So I will definitely go research those now. Let's talk this fight. Okay, October 30th, you return to the cage. Now, one thing that you've been talking about in the press is that you've been saying you want to be the first person to defend your belt for the LXF organization. Why is that so important to you?
Because I'll be the first, What is really important though is I need to win. There's the bigger pictures. I want to get back to the UFC, and the bigger picture is that I want the UFC belt, the Bantamweight belt. And I want that. I want that more than anything. And I feel like going into the UFC the first time, I would say it, but the main goal was to get to the UFC because it felt so far away,
right?
And then it happened so quick that I think that I didn't really. Once I got there, I let the foot off the pedal, and I started messing up, and I kind of blew my shot. And you know what? Shout out to the UFC because they gave me 7 fights with only 1 win. Yep. You know what I mean? So shout out to them. I appreciate them. And I learned so much from those fights. I've learned so much from this journey, but I just want to just get back there and just show everybody, like, just don't quit. Just don't quit and just keep going. And that belt would be the best way to do it, And I also want to defend the belt a few times, maybe like 5 times.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I want to break the record. I want to do a lot of things, but I also know that there's a time limit. But the main thing is I want to get that belt. And I just want to just show everybody that you can do it as long as you just don't quit.
I mean, Brandon Moreno is
a great example.
A great example of somebody who really rebounded in a strong way. And even when people were talking about him in the fight leading up to his championship run, it was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if this McLovin cat can do it. I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like you would always look at it and you go, I mean, Figgy's good, but man, I don't know. It would actually be dope. So it was really cool to see. So it's
awesome.
not unprecedented. It's just a matter of, that's cool that you want to end up back at the UFC. One thing I did want to talk about with you is that I've seen such a growth and a maturity in terms of the Albert I knew when we were younger and the Albert that I know now. What do you think that you have most evolved? Like, what is most evolved about both you as a fighter and as a person in those past, 8, 9 years?
Yeah, 8 years. It's been 8 years. The most that has evolved, I guess my mindset, understanding, and I used to talk about it all the time, but really understanding that you can't take any shortcuts. There's no, you can't leave any, stone unturned. You have to make sure that you do everything right, because anything that you don't do, you're going to pay for it. Sure. And the best thing about fighting is that you're going to know right away.
Yeah.
Like sometimes in life, like you won't do something and you might get away with it. And you might get away with it and you still succeed, but eventually it will catch up to you. The cool thing about fighting is you're going to learn because you're going to get punched in the face or choked or submitted. That's why you should have went to jiu-jitsu that day. That's why you should have went to boxing. That's why you should have ran. So that's probably the biggest thing is that also make sure you use your time wisely, because I notice now my daughters are growing up and I know a lot of my beginning of my career, I didn't really spend too much time with them. And now I wish I would have had my babies, because now I see little babies and I get that, not baby fever, but that like, damn, I wish I would have spent time with my babies. Like, I wish I didn't get so pissed off because I was tired. Now I'm tired and they ask me questions and I'll be like, I'll still get frustrated, you know what I mean? I'll be like, but then I'll do it.
Yeah.
Because I know that I'm going to miss that, especially with my little one, Ava. Like, she drives me crazy because they say she's mini me. Like, she does, like, she wants to be a fighter. She's nuts, dude. And she's quick to push my buttons, dude. Like, she knows how to push them, but I just have to realize that's my baby. You know what I mean? And I kind of like, at this point, like, she starts, let's say, for example, she's going to go jump on a rock.
Okay.
Before I would be like, get down, because I don't want her to get hurt.
Yeah.
Now I'm just like, all right, go jump on the rock. I'm going to watch you. And see if you fall and get hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I just want to enjoy that time with her. I want her to explore. I want her to be who she is, So value my time. I've learned a lot, man. I've learned a lot from losses. That's the biggest thing. Like, I've lost a lot before I was undefeated. I guess I didn't really learn too much, till I lost. And the thing is, I'm such a hard learner. Like, I had to go to jail to figure out that I wanted to fight.
Yeah.
I had to miss the birth of my first daughter to realize that I want to be out. So I have to learn the hard way, which sucks. And I have to learn, I've lost. Now I have, like, I don't even know how many losses I have. I don't even want to think about it, but I have quite a few losses, and everyone comes with a lesson. And, I hate losing. I hate it, but I appreciate them,
I think from my perspective, maybe this is the outside looking in, I think the biggest shift is how you've processed these things. Because I think over the years, I've noticed the maturity come from you talking very bluntly about this stuff. Like, even when we chat, it's usually just very honest. Like, yeah, dude, I'm an open book. I'll talk about it. And then the way that you process, like, now, I've seen this in your jiu-jitsu. The way that you process things now is you want to take the time on these details that most people don't want to. And it tells me, like, oh, you know what? I don't know that you were receptive to that, like, X many years ago. Not like I know more. It's just I've watched you as like a peer, and I've been like, oh yeah, no, he wants to geek out on this now. And then I think the perspective as the person has changed in the sense that you know how to process these wins and losses while also balancing your family. And I think that even though you go through these things, you say are hard-headed. Like, I've seen so many positive things that you've done in the past few years that I go, nah, I think he's like straightened out these things as he's gone along and been very honest. Like, yeah, this part wasn't great. This part wasn't great. So I think that's sometimes maybe what you may not see that other people do. So I hope that you know those things.
Hope that I know what do you
like. I hope that you can see some of the maturity that you've had as a person and as a fighter as well. So
definitely. Like I see it with my teammates. My teammates are cool to let me know. I know that, like, I mean, sometimes I forget that I am a role model or someone my teammates look up to and stuff like that. So I just consider myself, we're teammates, we're friends, we're brothers. Like I don't think, but then I do realize that I do have to kind of hold myself to a higher standard. There are kids that are looking at me. I have my teammates looking at me. I have my kids looking at me. So it puts me in check, and that's another good thing about social media that we can tie back down to is that like if I say something, I have to back it up. You know what I mean? I don't have to, but I feel like I have to. You know what I mean? I feel like, because I get messages from kids that train, that don't train. One of my good friends, his son is like one of my biggest fans. And it's so weird because I'm like, dude, you're like my little bro. But he's always hitting me up. His name is Alex. He's a good kid, man. I love that guy. But like he inspires me because he used to have like kind of bad grades, and his dad told him, you can't go to Albert's fights if you don't fix your grades.
Oh, damn.
He fixed his grades. He's a skater. He likes shoes. Like and so like he's a good dude, man. He inspires me. Like it's funny because they say I inspire them, but they inspire me by doing that too. Yeah. So shout out to social media for that too. So.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, let's get into the details. Tell me a little bit about your opponent. What do you know, and what are you expecting from him come October 30th?
Victor Henry. Good dude, tough guy. Funny dude. Like, I've known Victor for a while now. Like almost as long as, maybe a little bit maybe a little bit shorter time than you, but like not too far, maybe like 7 years. Cause I know he came down to Systems too, and we trained before. That was the first time we trained. We actually trained right before the pandemic, or right after the pandemic, because Black House closed down. CMMA was still going down secretly. Yeah. So I went down there, trained with them a little bit. Got nothing negative to say about Victor as a person, as a fighter either. He's a great fighter. He's been around. Tough guy. No, like a great opponent because I think he's ranked number 1 in Japan. So it's good. It's a good win on my record. It's a good win that I can bring to the UFC and be like, yo, look, I just took this guy out with a full camp. You give me. I'm not asking for full camps, but you give me a full camp, I could take on anybody. And I think he's on that path too. So it's a good fight for both of us. Nice. But I'm training really hard and I'm about to go knock him out.
Dude, I love it, man. And it's so funny because all of the things that happen in a fighter's resumes, sometimes you get obsessed over certain things. But like, I remember seeing you at like the LXFs prior, and you had some great moments in those fights, like super dope moments that I was like, okay, all right. I always love when you put something new in the toolbox. So I like that because, dude, you've got knockouts, you've got submission wins, you've got these kind of mix of things. So I think it is hard to pigeonhole your game. So that's why it's exciting for me whenever I hear you got a fight, because I go, oh, well, I don't know what we're working on unless I go and train with you. And I was like, yeah, this is really good. Or, oh, man, he's really good at this. And I was telling somebody recently, I even said, I was like, what's really cool? Working with you in the mornings when I would go to those open mats, super chill, whatever. I came from one of your night sessions, and it was like me, you, and like somebody else, and you were just entirely different. And I was like, you son of a bitch. All right. Because I like that guy. I want to roll with that guy because anything that makes me have to work differently or harder makes me go, yeah, we should do more of that. So I always like tell people, I'm like, so I think, in the past week, I was like, I need to schedule like 11 p.m. training with Albert. if I'm like on my way down, I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm about to go sleep. Albert's trying to roll. Yeah, I should probably go do that. Oh man. But dude, I think it's so cool to see you main eventing this. Obviously, you mentioned what it means to you. You've kind of mentioned how you have trained with this guy before, so there is a familiarity with him, and that you guys are ready to put on a good show. And I'm assuming he probably thinks the same on his side. Yeah,
and that's the kind of guy that I think he is. Some people, because we're not talking shit about each other. Yeah. You know what I mean? We can, and it would be funny because we probably roast each other. But we're both focused, you know what I mean? And it's gonna be a freaking great fight, no matter what, because he doesn't go down without a fight. Yeah. He's gonna go down, but he's not gonna go down without a fight. And actually, I don't think he's ever gone down. You know, he's never been finished. I don't think. And so that's something that I really want to do, is I want to finish him, whether it be TKO, whether it be knockout, whether it be submission. I just want to finish him. I want to grind him. I want to maul him. I want to do something that no one's ever done before. I want to make this something that I can present to somebody. You know what I mean? And I just want to just show my fans and my friends and my family, like everybody who supports me, like how hard I'm working isn't like I'm not bullshitting. You know what I mean? I'm here to work and I'm here to win.
That's what's up, man. Well, tell me a little bit about the movement, because you know, I really haven't been here until you invited me. You know, what is this place like? Are you giving privates out of here? Like, what goes on here, sir?
This gym is actually the gym that kind of made me. You know, this is owned by my coach, by Coach James Teal. We met at Systems. Mm-hmm. Coach James met at Systems. He became my striking coach, my first pro fight. You know, because I would ask him all the time, because I was just mainly a jiu-jitsu dude, and I was just down to scrap as an amateur. And he was a boxing coach in the back, right? And he would always come up and kind of talk trash and just kind of joke around to the whole team. Yeah. Because he never worked with them. He would only work with boxers. And I would always come up, hey man, when are you going to coach me? When are you going to coach me? He's like, are you a pro? I was like, nah. He's like, well, nah, I'm not going to work with you. Then I got an offer to fight for Bellator for my pro debut. And I went up to him, hey, I'm going pro. Can you coach me? He's like, nah, I'm not trying to coach you. I'm like, it's for Bellator. He's like, all right, I'll coach you. Right? I'm not, you know, like, honestly, I would say coaching is probably the hardest job, especially for an MMA fighter, MMA coach, because, like, I mean, you're depending on this kid to do the job. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, like, everybody's good at first, but when life hits you, like, what are you going to do? When you get a girlfriend, are you going to come to practice? You're going to go hang out with your girlfriend. You know, something bad happens, how are you going to take it? You know? So, and imagine you build this kid up, and then he just dips on you. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, like, I mean, me and my coach had me and Coach James kind of had a little fallout, and then I ended up going to Black House, but, you know, came back here. So it's cool. It's cool. It's all coming around it. You know, the cool thing about Coach James, I mean, we had a little fallout, but then we still talked. We kind of shook it off and talked about it and figured it out. And we've been friends even while I was still at Black House, because I just came back for this camp, and he's always giving me advice. If I have a question, he's a father. He's someone that helped me a lot with my kids and gives me relationship advice. He's a good dude, man, all around. And so it's cool that I get to come back here. And we have Devin Brock, who's actually on the same card with me, fighting for the belt too. So that's actually cool too. Nice. 2 guys fighting out this gym. But not only that, we have a bunch of new guys that are here. Some old faces, but some new guys too. So it's kind of cool that I can kind of come here and help them out as well. And show them, like, you know, not what you got to do, but how you got to kind of do it. Because I like to pride myself. I work hard. I don't let distractions, like, get in the way. You know, there's a job, I'm gonna do it, and they see it, whether they take it or not. You know what I mean? Yeah. Pretty much. But these guys over here at the movement are workers. You know, this isn't a gym where there's classes. You know, I teach my privates here, like you were talking about earlier. I do 2 privates here. Devin does his privates here. But this is a fighter gym, and that's what Coach wanted from the beginning. This was a fighter gym, and so everybody here is a fighter, whether it's fighting in MMA or coming off. Most of us are kind of like, you know, kids that kind of messed around. So the movement, I mean, it's always been here. A lot of people don't really know till they fight us. And then when they fight us, they know who we are. Nice. You know, and it's always been that way. Because even when I was here, Coach James, we didn't have sparring partners. Coach James would take me to boxing gyms, and I would go spar boxing gyms. And at first, I don't know, like gyms are very territorial. You know what I mean? So, like, we'd pull up to a boxing gym, and they'd be like, who the heck are these guys? But Coach would know the coach. Yeah. So then they would be cool, but they would gun after us. But then Coach is a great coach. We'd hold our own. And then eventually we're cool. So I'm welcoming a lot of gyms because of that. That's a lot of boxing gyms. So I'm back home, you know, and it feels good. I mean, there's a poster over there with me and Coach James, and of the team and just a whole bunch of pictures. And I remember walking in back to this gym and looking at that poster and like tripping off all these memories. And I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be in this part of LA again. You know what I mean? Like I'm happy. Like I love it. I like, as you know, rough as it is outside, like it's okay. Like I love it. You know, it's part of my culture.
I mean, don't get me wrong. When you invited me here, I walk in, I'm like, yeah, these are all fighters. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, I get a good sense of, even if these guys aren't my normal jiu-jitsu brethren that I normally would see, I'm like, no, they're still doing it. All right, I see your cauliflower. I see your hands. It's not bad. All right, you know what I mean? So it is kind of dope to be in that setting. Well, it's cool, dude. I like seeing you here. I like, you know, getting a sense of how you would carry your sparring classes from the jiu-jitsu side, and then seeing like videos of how you would coach your guys and gals for these open sparring sessions, you know, and stuff like that. It's those peeks into what you were doing. I just thought, man, he's facilitating a good group of people. Every time I came to an open mat, everybody's like, yo, treating me nice, greeting me, saying all the right things. So like, those are small details that I take really, really into consideration when I'm like, all things considered, if I'm going to go train, do I want to train with dumb people who might be okay, or nice people who are going to be a mix? And even if some of them are just on the beginning of their journey, it's like, dude, I had some of the guys at your open mats that I would like routinely submit, and they'd be like, let's go again. And I'd be like, this is great. Dope. That's the right attitude. Yeah. Just get it out of your system and do it, you know? So I will tell you this one story, because I haven't made a meme of this, but I so wanted to. There was one guy and I felt bad, but like I was just in a zone and I was just like catching things left and right. I think he was just visiting here, so I don't think he's one of yours completely. But I can tell he's a young kid, a little wrestler based, just very green. I caught this kid so many times that he actually stopped rolling midway and goes, I gotta go lift weights. And like left. And I remember like sitting there going like, did I just ruin open mat? And I wanted to be like, bro, come back here, you know, but like he's not one of my guys, so I can't do that. But I just remember being like, I don't think that's ever happened before. I don't think I ever broke somebody to the point where they go, yeah, jiu-jitsu's dumb. Like, I don't do this anymore. So I was always a story I wanted to tell you, because I was like, oh my God. But yeah, for the most part, everybody super nice.
Honestly,
super great.
Like either that's a good thing for multiple reasons. Like one, like maybe he's not supposed to be there. You know what I mean? That's the harsh one.
Yeah.
Another one, you know, maybe he needed a little reality check, and hopefully he came back next week, or hopefully he went back and trained and stuff like that. Because sometimes, like, that's the cool thing about jiu-jitsu, especially jiu-jitsu, because like literally you're taking your partner to like the point of death, right? When you're choking them out, or breaking their arm and stuff like that, and you're gonna get humbled. You know what I mean? Or like when you went, dude, you have this thing where you trap my arm, and like it's the worst.
Yeah, you really like every time I pulled that move off, you hate me so much.
I hate it, dude.
and you've been like, teach it to me, and I do, and I'm always looking to see if you're gonna do it to somebody else, and you hate it so much you don't even do it to other people. Like, that's what I know. I'm like, yo, you could probably beat somebody with that. You're like, I don't feel like doing that.
Dude, it's hell. like, and then when you're done with it, your arm is dead, and then like, you know, you can't use my arm. I'm just like, I felt like walking out like that kid. Dude. But like,
I guarantee you that has never been the way he's been when we've rolled. It is
God.
More so just like, you know, like I said, sometimes you get in a zone and like we'll have good rolls when we doing nonsense, and like if I'm in a good place, I'm just like, I'm feeling pretty good today. And I just try to be cognizant, because I don't think I'm that good, but like every once in a while everybody's got their day where they're just beasting things. And like, I'm just like, bring me whoever. It's cool. And then somebody comes and wrecks me, and I'm like, we're not playing jiu-jitsu anymore. This is dumb.
Oh shit.
I'm gonna go play a video game for a few. Albert, tell me a few things. Number one, if you're gonna look into that camera right now and you're gonna tell somebody why they need to come to your fight on the 30th, I want you to sell them on why they should come.
Air Morales. What that means, you got to come and see.
I don't even know that he knows what that means, except I will tell you, I am super stoked for it. Here's what I'm going to say, man. I'm stoked for that. I'm stoked for what's coming up. Where can the people find you? Where can they come support the journey that you're on right now and keep up with all of your shoes and whatnot, sir?
Warrior135 UFC. I forgot my social media handle for a second.
It took a second.
Yeah,
okay.
I was like, what the heck?
I was like, fam, I don't know that I remember it, so don't ask me.
Yeah, I was about to ask you. Warrior135 UFC. Yeah, you can find anything on there. You could hit me up about anything. You know, honestly, I kind of answer most of my messages, unless you're like one of those new, like, just come see me naked kind of. I get those all the time now. I don't know what the heck that's about, but and now I'm getting a bunch of NFT things. Like everybody's sending me NFT things. So I won't answer you if you're one of those guys, but unless you know something like, you know, some like new cryptocurrency that's about to drop for sure. But no, I mean, fighters, I have guys that like sneakers. I have, you know, now I own 2 Frenchies, so Frenchie owners can hit me up too. Like anybody, man, like if you have any questions, if you want to buy some tickets, hit me up. If you want to come train at my open mats, if you want privates, I also do privates. Probably not next week because I fight next week.
I would say, yeah. Well, he's taking a week off, everybody, but promptly after that, I'm sure he'll, especially when he's not going to train that next week after a fight where he's going to be like, you know what? Well, you guys go learn some stuff. I'll teach you guys.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go eat for sure. Yeah, dude, I saw some lobster rolls that I want to eat after this. I might eat it before the fight.
Bro, don't eat it before the fight.
With some butter and
no.
so on.
100% no.
But yeah, hit me up whenever, man. I train people Monday through Friday, weekends too. Weekends are actually better if you want to get some work in on the weekends.
And what was this I saw about coffee? So you kind of put some coffee on your Instagram, and I have no idea what that's about. Are you a coffee fiend? Is that what this is, or what?
For sure, I'm a coffee fiend. But so is my girl. She's a coffee fiend as well. But she started a company called La Buena Fe Cafe.
Oh, sick.
So we're eventually going to open up a cafe. That's the goal right now. But right now we have a small little cart, it's a cute little cart, and it's vegan. We're plant-based.
Okay.
You know, she's vegan, but I like to say plant-based because, like, I'm not vegan.
Right.
You know, but I do eat a lot of plant-based food. But I still like my eggs. I still like my steak. You know, obviously I like my lobster. But I do think it's actually good for your body a little bit to take a break off that meat, the red meat and stuff like that. But the coffee is all plant-based, and the cool thing about it is that she's Mexican-American, so a lot of the coffees are actually Mexican-inspired or Latin-inspired.
Nice.
So she's got 3 of them right now. One is Café de Olla, which is like a classic one, the cinnamon and all that stuff like that, and she makes it all at home. She's like the coffee sits and filters out for 24 hours, so the acidity gets cleared out.
Nice.
You know, she's in there zesting the oranges and all that stuff for the Café de Olla. She's got abuelita's, I think it's like a hot cocoa kind of thing. Shoot, I forgot the exact name of it, but it's abuelita coffee. And then the last one is dirty chata, which is an horchata with coffee. And it's all, like I said, it's all plant-based, so that she uses, I think she uses coconut milk, but she might use a nut milk. I forgot for the I don't know. She's the chef. You know what I mean?
But this is also incredibly detailed in a sense that I was like, oh, I didn't know you knew most of this stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, if I was slaying and like my wife had some stuff, I'd just be like, yo, it's some good coffee.
Oh, no, it's bomb. No, it's bomb. It's bomb. And like I said, it's made with love. She loves to do it. And it gets you lit. Like, I mean, it tastes really good, and you sip it and you're like maybe a quarter of the way done, and all of a sudden you're up. I don't know what it is, man. I think it's the filter process. It's the love. I don't know what it is, but it's really good. She also sells empanadas too. That's the new thing.
Oh, sick. That's what's up.
Plant-based empanadas. She has like a savory one, which has like some type of, it's not meat, but it's they're fake meat, and it has like potatoes and stuff like that.
That's cool.
And then she also, but it's not the soy one either.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly what it is, but and then she also has now she just dropped the sweet potato pie one. So it's sweet potato, and then it has she made her own mix of like vegan cream cheese whip. It's so freaking bomb. You dip it, it's fruit. It's so good. I can't eat any of it right now, which sucks.
Dude, I'm not even cutting weight, but every so often, like, when I always get hungry toward the like late part of the night. That's where some of this comes from. Is I'm always like, dude, I should be done eating, but like I still gotta edit something. I need like something to munch on.
Oh, dude, those are perfect.
And sometimes if I haven't seen your stories for a certain amount of time, when they build up and you go, okay, oh no, no food. I'm not doing this game. And you just stop. You're like, skip Albert, not looking at the food today. Yeah. But now you're on a weight cut, so I hope that things are going good for that. But you look in good shape, man. You look healthy, in a good place. I'm stoked to see that fight for you, man. And I'm very much looking forward to not just this fight, but what's coming up next for you, because you always are grinding, and it's always great to just kind of run into each other and just get some training in, man.
Oh, yeah.
So good to see you.
Same here, brother.
All right, guys. Don't go anywhere. Go watch this man fight. October 30th, LXF. Is it Commerce Casino?
No, Burbank Marriott.
Just kidding, Burbank Marriott. Whoop. We could edit that in post. But it's going to be at the Burbank Marriott, which is even better. Don't tell the people at Commerce. It's just closer to me. That's it. And go see this man fight October 30th.
Air Morales, don't forget.
Everybody, I have some exciting news for you. You know the ADCC Trials is coming up. And if there's one thing you know about our show, it is that we do fight companions. And yes, I can tell you right here, right now, your friends here at the Grappling Hour will be putting together a fight companion for that weekend. Yes, I said weekend. You will see us that entire weekend commenting about all of the people at this apparently massive trials that's going on over on the East Coast. So tune in with us. We will be on for the entire duration that includes Saturday and Sunday. And right now it is also looking like we will also do a fight companion that night for UFC 268. So you're not going to want to go anywhere. We're going to be with you guys all weekend. We're going to have some friends stopping by. They're going to also be calling in. So make plans to sit around, watch shit with us, and get hammered. I can't promise you I'm going to drink through the whole thing because I think I would die. But for the most part, I'm sure I'll drink, especially for the UFC that night. So don't go anywhere. We've got more show coming up. And don't forget, on November 6th and November 7th, we've got ADCC Fight Companion right here. You will not go anywhere. And the best way to know is to subscribe. So subscribe to our channels and give us some love. But let's now turn our attention to another friend of our show. Her name is Laura Kent. She is behind the scenes on so many cool and epic things. And I want you to know that she put together this amazing camp. And I want you to get to know a little bit more about that camp, one of the events that she put together that is for an amazing cause, as well as what is coming up in store for her. So don't go anywhere. We're doing that interview right now. Ladies and gents, I am super stoked to bring on my next guest. You may see her behind the scenes, not only sharing information, not only putting up articles, not only putting up pictures of every single major event that's going on, especially on the East Coast, but just this weekend, she put on an amazing, amazing event that I'm a little jealous I didn't get to go to. Now, I have to read this one because I would probably mess up the name, but it was the East Coast Women's No-Gi training camp, and it looked amazing. When I say there are some heavy hitters, I want you to stick around to hear who was at this tournament teaching. And more importantly, she is a friend of the show because everybody that she knows, we love, and we want to make sure to give her some shine. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome for the very first time on this show, Laura Kent. Laura, how are you doing?
Oh, awesome. I'm still riding the vibes from this weekend.
So when you have an event like that, when do you go home? When is it all said and done for you that you get a moment to actually kind of say, okay, I get to go home and rest now?
Honestly, it wasn't that bad as far as cleanup on Sunday. I'll say it was kind of funny because each day was 3 hours of instruction and an hour and a half of rolling, or at least that's what was planned. But there was an obvious difference between day one and day two as far as the amount of people rolling. And I think it's because it was so much. Like, I know myself, I was super sore by the second day already. So yeah, basically I was able to clean up like right at the scheduled time and just head home. It was around 5 o'clock because Sunday was 1 hour earlier than the Saturday schedule, just because of how it worked out with me scheduling around the regular Bethlehem classes. So
When
it
that
really wasn't that
happens,
bad.
how do you commemorate, like celebrate? Do you just go home and sleep? Are you
Oh,
still in an adrenaline rush when you get home? Like, how do you come down after having an event like that?
um, I did do a lot of sitting on my couch just reposting stuff. Everyone was kind of giving their little recap of the weekend, and tagging me and everything. Instagram was blowing up, so I wanted to share more of people's experiences. But yeah, basically, I went to sleep early on Sunday.
Bless
It
you.
was a lot.
I mean, again, I've run some events, I've run some tournaments, I've run every kind of interview possible for major events. I know that every once in a while I get home and my wife knows he's tired. I'm just gonna let him sleep. So yesterday I did an interview with one of my friends. I got back home and there I was on the couch being like, let's watch like something on Apple TV. And she goes, okay, yeah, that's cute. You and the dogs are sleeping next to each other, and it's 7 p.m. And I go, I am an old man. So I understand that life, and I value sleep probably more than anything else right now. Tell me who the heavy hitters were that you had at this great event that you put on over the weekend.
Okay, well, you could say the two primary instructors were Amanda Levy and Fatima Klein. And I say primary because they were the two that taught both days, an hour apiece. So 2 hours total for the extent of the camp. And then we also had Brittany Elkin and Jess Feliciano, and they each taught an hour one of the days. Jess was on Saturday and Brittany was on Sunday.
How did you get this quality set of instructors? Was it they reached out to you? Were you stalking them? Did you just say like, "Hey, I've got this event," and they said, "I'm in"? Like, this is a great panel, and it's a young, great panel. So these are very young practitioners who are current and killing it, and have had major highlights over the past few months.
Yeah, I mean, it might sound weird to say, but honestly, three out of the four were already really good friends of mine. I've known Amanda for a while. Actually, Amanda and Jess specifically, since Finishers Sub Only 4, we did the 150-pound women's bracket. It was the first women's bracket that Zach did for the Finishers Sub Only. Really cool. Amanda won the whole thing. Jess was in the finals. I was out first round. But but that's kind of where I met them or came across them for the first time. Obviously, huge fan of both of them. They went on to do EBI, and I just kind of, from being on the East Coast over the years, have gotten closer to the both of them. So pretty lucky for that. Brittany's a newer transplant, but she started training at Bethlehem a good bit before her fight with Clarissa Shields. And also, I love her because she's a fellow, like, super tall woman. She's almost exactly my size, which is really hard to find because I'm 6 feet tall, which is huge for a woman. So, yeah, I really like that she's been around and we've gotten pretty close too. Fatima was the kind of random one. Actually, another friend of mine in the community, Nicole Matthew, she's a purple belt, really good competitor. She came up with the Fatima idea. Like, there were different names floating around, but some of them were a little more, I don't know. I really wanted to focus on the East Coast women. So, and I'm a big fan of Fatima's, even though I didn't know her. So Nicole kind of got us in touch, and that was the last edition. It just developed from there. They were all like really interested and willing, and yeah, we just worked out everything. Like, honestly, as soon as I got their agreement, I rented an Airbnb for everyone, like, right away because I was so excited and just started planning from there.
That's so dope. And I mean, obviously I know Amanda, she's a amazing practitioner. I know it's got to be so much easier when you can shoot a note to somebody that you're friends with and you can say, "Hey, we're doing this." And they say, "Oh, that sounds good," whatever. Fatima is one of those people that she just gets it. Like, she's got a great enthusiasm, obviously great jujitsu, obviously an emerging star in MMA as well. But I looked at that panel and I just, we commented about this off air a little while ago, but I was like, oh my God, look at how great some of their highlights have been this past 2, 3, 4 weeks. And just sitting there and observing and saying, this is the best seminar, in case people didn't know, that is actually happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I really, honestly, that's the biggest thing for me. I'm already like, okay, now I want to start planning for next year, but how would I top that instructor lineup? Like, I feel like you can't. I'm a huge fan of all of them. I mean, they're just not only amazing, but super down to earth too. The way that they all interacted with the girls was just so cool to see. Like, I'm a huge fangirl, so of course, that's why I was like, all right, these are my picks, you know? And yeah, I mean, even since I picked them, they've only done even more awesome stuff since then. So I had to update my flyers and everything because they just keep adding on to their accomplishments. It's really cool to see.
What a terrible thing to have to do to sit there and go, oh, she just won this. Okay.
Now you're more famous.
And again, all of them putting in work, and they have very, very big things that I know that are ahead for all of them. Nobody's going to be surprised if they see it crushing it at see the ADCC trials coming up, and y'all go first. So on the East Coast, I think it was a great opportunity for not just you guys to show out, but to be like, hey, just in case you're thinking about doing this is probably a really smart idea because in 2 weeks people are going to try and kill each other savagely. So just, no big. Tell me how this came together though, because I know that you said, obviously you were friends with them, but what was the impetus to actually putting the event together?
I guess it was kind of piggybacking off of my open mats that I've been like hosting at the Bethlehem location. Every 2 months we do like a women's open mat. Lots of people get together, usually between like 30 to 50-ish for that too. And so that's always awesome. A friend of mine, actually, Emmy Miller, she's in California, and we were chatting about the open mats, and I was like, "Oh, I so wish that you lived closer." And she's like, "Well, if you ever had like a camp, I would come out." So she was kind of the first person to put that little inkling into my mind and like give me the confidence to be able to be like, "Okay, maybe I can do this." And honestly, that was way at the beginning of the year, and then the whole sub out thing came about, and yeah, basically I put it on the back burner. So it came up later in the year when I was done with sub out. I was like, all right, I'm gonna revisit this and like actually start planning it out. And it worked out even better as far as I feel the timing, like you said, right before the trials and everything. Like Amanda won ADCC trials, obviously a good person to learn from if you're gonna be doing the trials. Brittany's about to do them. I'm about to do them. I just saw Moja Seem like posted that there's 35 women in the 60 plus bracket, so that's a lot of women. I'm pretty excited for that.
I think we're all excited for ADCC and especially for trials because it's kind of that moment where stars are made. It's the moment where everybody gets to show what they've been working on. So if they picked up something, say at a really badass no-gi training camp, who's to say that you guys don't have even more highlights that you could put on that happen as a result of that? I just know many of the women individually, and when I saw the photos that you sent on over, it looked like the turnout was great. So can you take us through a little bit of the weekend? I know you described that there was a little bit of teaching, but what did y'all go over, and what was the overall vibe of this one?
Since it was kind of trials focused, I mean, it was open to everyone. We had white belts, we had blue belts, but I would say about half of the girls that signed up were purple belts. So it was a lot of really experienced girls in the room. And I kind of advertise it as like good prep for trials. So, in my opinion, two of the biggest holes that I feel for a lot of women that I tend to see is either leg lock game or takedowns. I know my biggest one is takedowns. I'm a terrible wrestler. I'm just a lazy guard puller, and that's not necessarily the best game plan for ADCC trials. I mean, obviously, I know this. So, I wanted to plug those holes a little bit. I also like kind of threw back takes in there. Obviously, that's always just, the back is king. People love to get the rear naked choke. It's like a really dominant position. That'll get you points also. So all of those things kind of mixed together. The first day, Amanda opened. She did takedowns. And then we had Fatima, and she went over a lot of like guillotine kind of attacks and anaconda choke, like really dangerous stuff from like guard passing kind of entry position with the snap down of the head. So that was awesome. And then we took like a little snack break. And then Jess Feliciano did leg locks for an hour. and then it was like the rolling portion. So that was the first day. And then the second day was a really similar format, but Brittany did the takedown section. And then it was Amanda, and she showed a bunch of back take stuff, all the stuff she used on Gabby too, which was like super cool. Because I mean, between Brittany explaining like, oh, I use this on Clarissa Shields, you know, and then Amanda talking about using it on Gabby, it was just like, you could see obviously they've used it successfully at a super high level, so you can't really be doubting the technique, you know. So after that, we did another snack break, and then Fatima did an hour of the leg locks. And it was like knee bar stuff, and I'm trying to think what else. Oh, you're putting me on the spot here.
No,
I'm
I
like, I
mean,
should have taken notes. Some of the girls took notes, and they were so good with it, and I really want to help like collect all of the notes. But yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of really good information.
Laura, can I reveal part of the reason why I wanted to book you so long ago? It's mostly because the way you described this to me is you saw people were taking notes, and the first thought you had was, how do I get this note from them, organize it so that I can share with people? And that is a recurring theme that I see from you, which is, you know, I think I've seen you write articles. I think I've seen you cover things, photos, like any event that's happening. Sometimes if I don't cover it and I try to keep my eyes on everything, I will look at your stuff and just be like, what did she put? Because she would know what's happening in the East Coast faster than I would. And it's a great resource, but it's so hard to describe how we have so many people in jiu-jitsu who have a certain brain type that can do jiu-jitsu, but when it comes to, hey, can you organize this? They just go, I can't. I can choke with collar and heel hook, but organize, I don't know how. So you're a valuable resource in our community.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I mean, my MMA news gave me some awesome opportunities to do a lot of writing for them. I love covering events, especially like the smaller sub only
Yep.
kind of events on the East Coast. I've done a bunch of profiles of those kind of events. So, yeah, I don't know. I love share honestly, but the sharing thing wasn't fully my idea, so I can't take credit. Some of the girls already came to me because girls are awesome. I just all of them put together, we just have the coolest ideas. People already came to me like, listen, we need to start like a Google Doc and like add everyone's emails. And they were like, so then you don't have to worry about it because they're trying to protect me from having to do extra work, you know? So they're like, we'll just add it for you because people took notes. I'm like, all right, thanks, ladies. Great idea. So
And
at some point, I'm going to have to do that. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
and I have to say, guys will not do this. I know that
No.
because I am usually the person that does some of that stuff, and I have my limits where I go, guys, I did it. You know, like at a certain point, once I've made a G drive, if I ever put up training footage of our friends, I'll be like, I got a G drive, here it is. And I'll look to see if they've looked, and they have not opened it or they have not touched it. And I go, guys, I've literally given you a cheat code. Watch the damn thing. Or I'll be like, here's the instructional for what we're working on this week. And they go, nah. And I go, why do you think you're not getting better? We have to be better organized about this. And I'm only so at being organized because I have 10,000 shows I am producing at any given time. But I will say this, it did look dope. It did look like it was a great thing. So you are looking to do it now yearly, correct?
I would love to do that, yes. My little commitment to doing it in the future was on the stickers that I handed out. It says, like, I survived the first women's no-gi training camp. So that's a commitment that it's the first, I have to do a second, right?
It is
Yeah.
essentially a promise at that point. So I
I
would
mean,
hate.
people enjoyed it so much. People are already like, oh, you need to do one in the spring. I'm like, okay, let's slow down for a second. I do have a lot going on. I would love to do one all the time. But like I think honestly, spreading events out more is what makes them even a little bit more special.
Sure.
Like not to be withholding or anything. But you know, then it makes people like really want to come if it's all the time. You know, I've certain schools have tried to do like women's whatever every single month. People don't really show up in mass for that because then they start to take it for granted.
Yeah.
You gotta withhold a little, you know?
Well, also, you deserve a break at some point
I mean,
because I
that
know what it's
too.
again. As you put on these events, you eat, breathe, and sleep that as you're doing multiple things. So even when you and I were chatting, you were in the process of renovating parts of your place, and you could
Yeah.
see that you go, oh God, okay, one more week, and then I can go back to renovating my place, and we're gonna fix this up, and we do this. It's like people don't understand. Normal folks outside of jiu-jitsu would say, fix your house and do this on the side, and you go, no, 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 no. I got to make sure this happens. I've got to make sure travel happens. Does this person know that this is coordinated like this? So I understand that, and we appreciate that service. I certainly know all those women who attended that seminar appreciated that. Speaking of making kind of a yearly thing, you're wearing the shirt for what I believe is sub out domestic violence. And I caught wind of this event, and it was something that I immediately said, like, I want to bring you on the show. I was on my hiatus, but I reached out to you and I said, just know we're going to talk about this because I love the name of it, but I want to know more about it. So where did the inclination to make that into an actual tournament series come from?
Okay, so this was actually mostly my friend's idea, basically. I was like a brought-in partner. My friend Sabrina Kelly, her husband Matt Kelly, they own the Vault Jiu-Jitsu in Morton, Pennsylvania, and we kind of created a relationship with them. Originally at Gracie Humaita Philly, Matt brought John in for like a seminar one Sunday, and then whenever they opened up the vault, John has been teaching there like once a month, basically. It progressed to twice a month, but then our schedules got crazy, so it's back to once a month until 2022. But besides that, we love them, so we go there all the time. And Sabrina one day was just like, oh, like I want to do this, I want to do like an event, and raise money for a charity, but I don't really know what I'm doing, kind of. So she came to me because I have a lot of connections with different women in the community and everything. And also because obviously, my school runs the finishers. I have a lot of firsthand knowledge as far as how to run a jiu-jitsu event so that it looks good. And, basically it kind of forms the partnership from there between the two of us. She was like the sponsor person. I'm terrible with the money stuff. I would rather just handle the athletes, which is what I ended up doing. Because, her original idea, she was ready to draw names from a hat for matchups. And I was just like, wait a second. And she was like, well, I don't know any of the girls. And I'm like, it's okay. I know almost all of the girls. And the ones that I don't, we'll figure it out. We created a Google form basically for people to submit applications. And just started brainstorming. Honestly, we didn't immediately have a charity or a name, but obviously we wanted to do a women's thing. Yeah, that was Sabrina's original intention. So yeah, we kind of settled on this local charity, DAP, and they're a nonprofit to support domestic violence victims. And then obviously the name kind of came from that. That took us a while to come to the name too, honestly. But somehow it popped up eventually, and we're like, all right, that's the one. Got our graphics guy on it, started making the logo, and basically honestly, we're both Virgos, so we just once we had the initial details running, we were going with it, just bouncing ideas off of each other, opened up applications, had to shut them down after 2 days. Originally, we wanted 15 matches. And yeah, within the first 2 days, we had 50 applications, and I'd already kind of paired up people because as the applications were coming in, I was writing the name, the rank, and the weight or weight range, depending on what they put down on little index cards, and just kind of pairing people, old school, Naga style when they had the index cards out and everything. So yeah, I just kind of paired things as people came in. So even after the first 2 days, we already had 25 matches, and I was like, all right, shut it down, because it was still really, I don't want to say peak COVID, but things were not great at the time. Yeah. There was still a lot of rules as far as how many people inside and having masks and all this stuff. So we didn't want to, and even so, we packed that place out, I'll tell you. It was quite full in there because it's so hard for us to say no to people. So that's how we ended up with 10 extra matches. And really, one of the girls got promoted to blue belt before the event. So then that split into 2 matches. So we ended up with 26 all in total at the end.
I've been to a lot of events. I can handle 26, and especially if it's a
Oh
smaller
yeah.
program, because you know they don't get a ton of opportunities. So you know how important this is. If I see some of these guys who are playing it safe and who are people who are prominent athletes, it's harder to stay there for them because I go, y'all, come on, like I want to go home. This is tiring. Oh, I got puppies I got to take care of, and then you kind of get that. If it's somebody who's never really had a match before, I'm there and I'm all in because you know how important it is to them. You know what it's like to be rejected from so many different things or not get on a program or not any of those things. So I get it. And great. Wonderful. 26 is a lot though. But again, enthusiasm means you're putting on something that there's a demand for. So what I'm hearing here though is it sounds like whenever there is somebody who either has an idea for a collaboration or something that needs to get done, you're the person that makes it get done. And what I'm hearing, maybe you don't know this, but in television terms, as somebody who works in TV, you sound like an amazing producer. Like you're fixing problems as you go. You are working with talent. You are telling people, hey, listen, don't make me touch the money. You touch money, I touch show, and I will get this done. And there is a huge, huge relief in those people who can produce that and get those things organized, because sometimes people don't know how to do that. So that is a true good person to have. I would welcome you on any of the shows that I work on. I want to ask this though. If people have not seen it, what are like 3 matches that jump out in your head that people should see that you thought were reflective of the event?
Oh my gosh, it's been since May now too. But okay, the first one that comes to mind, just because you're putting me on the spot, Jackie McHale. I can't even remember who she fought. I'm terrible. Oh my gosh. And I did all of the commentary too.
Okay, again.
And I'm just like, wait a second, who fought each other?
Again, as somebody who's done a lot of commentary, there are people's names who I know for 5 minutes at a time, and then afterwards, not so much. And even then, I've seen people who have gone on public display and said, this person messed up my name. And I will roast them back, but say, you're 100% right, but you have a very difficult to say name. How am I supposed to know that? You guys don't talk to me beforehand. I asked for people to give me information. You did nothing. So don't worry about that. But can you describe why the match was so interesting from your perspective?
Um, Jackie's a blue belt, and I think she had like she was an MMA fighter. I think she had like a little bit of a layoff basically, and it was like her kind of coming back to competition match. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me. I hadn't seen her compete in a while, and I was just really excited to see her.
Awesome.
And I mean, it was a really dominant match too. Like she just went in. Honestly, all of the girls just completely went for broke. I mean, I feel like women always do, but I'm biased, obviously. But especially for this one, it was sub or draw, so it was like if you don't get a sub, it's just no one wins. I mean, everyone wins.
Sure.
But you get what I mean. So like people were going for the sub. There's nothing to lose, it was no points or anything. So, and I think especially because it was like live stream, there was a whole bunch of people there, people were really going for it. Hannah Rosario also had a really good match. I'm like, now it's all coming back to me. But man, May was a long time ago, like months, okay? So much life has happened since then. Jane Barnes and Becca Burkhart too. Like Becca was really going for the legs, like most of that match, but Jane was able to defend like the whole time. It ended up being a draw. There were a lot of draws, but it's not that they weren't exciting matches. There were a lot of subs too.
We have a general phraseology that we like to say, which is you don't have to tell women twice to be exciting. Like they know when they get the mic or they get the camera on them to make the use of it, because they have had to fight harder to get space on shows. And even when it took 16 EBIs before we had an all-female one, or 12 or some number where I go, we could have had a women's event anytime, and it took us this long to get it. And guess what? When it happened, you had very prominent women saying like, okay, well, let's make sure that we show off. And they did. It's one of my favorite EBIs that they've had. And even now looking at Medusa and seeing, you know, like exactly who you see, Brianna, Fatima, you're not surprised. They're going to go out there.
Yeah.
They're going to give you a show. And even Fatima's, I was describing this in my interview with her almost surprised that she won even when she got the submission was kind of like, what happened? It's like, well, you murdered a few people and you here, take this title. And she goes, oh, okay. And then in the interview, she says, I just thought, okay, well, I need to go do it again, right? And it's like, oh my God. She's so committed to the actual like project and finishing it that even when she wins, she goes, but I still need to do more, right? Okay, like that to me is somebody I go, yeah, I'll watch her anytime.
Oh yeah.
So you were able to donate the proceeds that you made from that to the charity. How did that feel when you were able to like hand that off, especially having done the event and kind of seeing the reaction from all of the women who participated in it?
Oh, I mean, that was really awesome. This was all Sabrina's idea. She got the huge check. We did the big reveal for all the girls. Honestly, it was so funny because we took like the group picture and the check is facing the camera, obviously. And I had already seen the check, so I'm like not even thinking because my mind was just on the live stream because here I am committed to running a live stream myself for some reason to try and make sure that all of the money went to the charity was all we cared about, you know? And like, I just start running off, like, and Sabrina's like, wait a sec, like, we need to turn it around so the girls can see the check and know how much we're about to donate. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm still here. So, yeah, it was really cool because, you know, they're all like, oh, so amazing, you know, almost 14 grand. Like, that's a really impressive amount.
That's
I don't
huge.
really know how that happened. We had a lot of support. Sabrina did so much coordinating, even as far as, like, getting little things donated to give to the girls. We were able to give away so many free gifts, like basically a little gift bag with like Saf soap for them, Submission Nutrition donated oatmeal, like we gave out stickers. We had like a whole table where we were just picking names out of a hat, raffling off prizes at the end. It was just so nice how everyone really came together. And like if they couldn't give money, they gave product. Everyone just really wanted to participate. It was like we didn't even know what to do with the response, honestly. I don't think either of us was prepared for that.
Well, apparently you weren't because now you're already talking about the fact that you have another event similar to the other one where it's annual, but you are going to start taking applications for that come January. Most of the times when you see people who tell you there's an event coming up, say, we'll take applications now, we'll cut it off by a certain date because we hope to get a certain kind of response. You're like, no, we're bracing for impact. If we shut it down in 2 days the last time, who knows what'll happen this time, especially now that they've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like since the first time we've gained a lot of followers, like the sub out account already has over 1,000 followers. I know that's not like a crazy amount, but just for being not even a year old, it's like 6 months old, you know, 9 months, whatever it is now. We created it in March of last year. Well, this year. Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
It's okay.
Anyway.
It's been a long year. And you know what? The past 2 years have felt like a decade. So as far as I'm concerned, it might as well be.
But basically, we wanted people to know in advance because since it is first come, first serve, like last time people were finding out, you know, way after registration had already closed, and then you feel guilty, and then when it's like, you know, we want to give as many people a chance as possible. So if we let them know ahead of time, like, hey, this is when it opens, then people can be ready for that day, basically. And yes, also, we will be bracing for impact because I'm sure, I mean, if we got 50 in 2 days last time, I've already seen so many comments when we posted the little teaser with the date about people that want in. Like, I definitely want to make sure we get a black belt match for this one because last time we had white belt and all the way up through brown belt, but we only had like one brown belt match, you know. So hopefully, since we have a little more traction, we can get all of the colors of the rainbow.
Yes, of course. Everybody else, they're humans too. I'm wondering, did you ever do commentary before? Was this your first time doing commentary?
This was my first time doing commentary and my first time running the live stream, like I said. So, and I was doing both at the same time because, like I said, we were kind of trying to, I don't want to say cut corners, But I don't know. I had never done this type of thing before, and we were just all the money going to the charity. So I didn't want to pay. I mean, a videographer, I don't think people probably realize, but they're expensive to hire someone for like a multiple hour. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. I'm not saying they're not worth it, but it would just be that amount taken away from the charity, you know?
Yeah.
So, although this time we have committed to, I mean, we're going to want to do it up a little more professional and everything. I think people understand, you know, there's other charity events that give like a percentage of profits and
Right.
stuff like that. So I think, you know, still just trying to do as much as we can, but like obviously people want a nice stream too. You know, it would take a little bit of pressure off me is what it really comes down to. I would love to still do commentary, but just not be running the stream myself because my laptop was having a meltdown.
You're preaching to the choir here. As somebody who's usually a one-man band, I tell people all the time, you know, when they see me setting up and knocking it down, they're always like, oh man, that's really cool that you do this. So do you have an editor? No, that is also me. Oh, okay. Then who also does the sound checks? Me. Who does the lighting? Me. Cameras? Also me. Sometimes I'm switching live on air myself. So I get it. And it is fulfilling. I do like it. But there are so many other days where I just go, someone else do this. I'm so tired. So I know the pressure of doing it. But did you like the commentary? Did you like being able to do that?
Oh, I love it. Like I said, I'm a total fangirl, so I mean, why would I not love it? I feel like I know so much about a lot of women on the East Coast. And I mean, the ones that I didn't, I went out of my way to like have them send me commentary info, you know? I was like, tell me things about yourself. If I don't know you, I want to know about you. So, and I'm talking like random things too, you know? So I was telling people all about everyone's life. It didn't have to be limited to jujitsu or martial arts or whatever.
Hey, listen, I'm a huge fan, and I think one of the reasons that I feel that I do a certain kind of commentary is I pay attention. And you strike me as someone else who pays attention. So even if they say, oh, is this your first time doing it? You can tell a good story because you've been following these women. You've been watching their stories. You take good notes. You are a good communicator. So it is important that people do that because I hear other commentators, they only talk about what they see on the screen. And that's only one part of the story. That can only tell you what is at surface level. What is always deeper and funner to me is always saying like, hey, listen, this kid was literally eating McDonald's last week. I was worried he wasn't going to make weight, but here he is right now, crushing it. Literally not only making weight, looks like he's in good shape and finishes with an armbar. And you say, even if they don't appreciate that story, they will appreciate the detail that you've taken. And I know that is something that you provided. So I hope that happens more for you because I am always a fan of more people who do the homework to get acknowledged because not everybody does the homework. And that really makes me mad. And I do appreciate it. Because listen, the last time I did commentary, this whole thing just filled with note cards. And did I use them? No, because I had already memorized it. Like I just doing it made me go, okay, I know about this person. I know about this person. So when I see other people who come in cold, I go, how? Like, how do you just do this? Disrespectful. Nonetheless,
Yeah.
that is pretty dope. Well, congratulations to you on that. I do want to get into your origin story. So I would love to ask, where does jiu-jitsu begin? Where does your jiu-jitsu journey begin?
Well, I would say like in my early-ish to mid-20s is when I kind of discovered the UFC. I didn't know fighting was a thing before then. Somehow I missed that whole thing because obviously the Ultimate Fighter was going on when I was like in high school and everything. It had been around. I just didn't know. So whenever I discovered that, I was kind of like, oh wow, this is really cool, and immediately became a UFC fangirl. And of course, it was somewhat around the time that Ronda was skyrocketing, of course. So I was a big fan of Ronda and mostly just followed the UFC for a while. But like, obviously, eventually I wanted to try it out. So tried a gym in the area. Actually, it was like a gi gym, super traditional. Uh, and yeah, that's kind of where it started, but it rapidly developed from there, I could say.
Well, you found some guys who are not necessarily known for their gi practices a little bit later. So I guess I'm curious how you go to the dark side because To me, I actually did the opposite. I went to a no-gi gym first, so I was 10P for a while. And I was like, I love this. This is dope. And then I found a school with gi that happened to be John Jock, and ultimately realized, like, oh, I guess I'm still in the family. Like, I'm just a weird cousin that only shows up every once in a while now.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, yeah, basically how it happened was just a bit before like the 2 year mark, I got my blue belt in the gi, and I was like, okay, now if I want to do like a naga, it's intermediate level, which means heel hooks are legal. And I'm sure, as you know, a lot of gi schools do not tend to teach basically anything about leg locks.
No.
And honestly, I had already myself gotten really into like watching EBI and stuff. And I was a huge fan of Gary Tonin, super exciting. Obviously, he brings all the fans to the grappling market, so I was like watching that kind of stuff. Obviously, knew what 10th Planet was. A friend of mine that lived in Maryland that I like randomly met at a Henner Gracie seminar was just like, oh, there's a 10th Planet like 2 hours from your house in Pennsylvania. And he's like, and Grace Gundrum trains there, by the way, which obviously she'd already had special matches on EBI at the time. Like I knew who she was and I was a fan, even though she was still obviously a wee little child at the time. But she's always been awesome. So I was like, all right, yeah, huge fangirl, let's do this. So he brought me to an open mat on Labor Day. And that was actually like earlier in my gi career, like 7-8 months in, right before I was about to do my first competition, because I signed up for gi and no gi. And I mean, my gi school barely trained no gi, so I was like, I should probably do a little more no gi before I compete in this. So that was like, and honestly, I just had the best day. Like, it was so crazy in there. It was like a slip and slide. Like, I just wasn't used to the no-gi lifestyle. Obviously, the gi absorbs things a little more. It was just way more intense. The athleticism and everything, the rolls were so cool. So, kind of started there as planting the first seed. But then after I got my blue belt, like I said, I was like, okay, I need to learn like lock stuff. So I started like kind of cross training with them, and that was about a year after I had first gone for that visit. Um, and yeah, basically my gi school was like, like, who's your coach? So yeah, so I was like, okay. So I ended up with 10th Planet. I kind of gave up the gi. I don't have any hard feelings because really I totally would have stayed there just out of like pure loyalty because I'm that kind of person. Yeah. Like I was paying for 2 gym memberships and also driving 2 hours each way to go and train at Bethlehem because I'm just a complete crazy person. So, and people were kind of like, what is she doing at the time? Because Bethlehem wasn't then what it is now.
Sure.
It did not have that reputation 5 years ago. So it was like the only 10th Planet on the East Coast, though, besides Rochester. So, I mean, what choices do you have, really? I wanted to train 10th Planet. So, yeah, gave up the gi. And for 2.5 years, I drove 2 hours each way to train at Bethlehem until I sold my condo and, like, eventually transitioned out here by getting a job out here. Yeah.
Wow.
That's that.
But that's commitment. Let's be real. Like.
Oh, for sure. Like, the way that they took me in from the very beginning, they didn't care about the politics at all. I was all stressing like, oh, both teams are at the same competition. Like while I was still training at both, like I shouldn't compete because who would I register under, And Zach was totally just like, put their name down. Like, I don't give a shit, like not possessive at all. And that's how like who your people are, They were really into all of the same stuff that I was into. The sub only, the EBI stuff. Obviously, they're like on the front lines. Look at all the cool opportunities I've had just from training with them. Like, my life is so awesome. I mean, I feel like I'm so validated at this point because at this point, everyone knows that 10th Planet Bethlehem is like one of the absolute top 10th Planet schools. Like, we breed champions. Now we've got the Allentown location with John running that. Like, now Zach and JM have like 11 black belts. I mean, it's just really crazy. And there's even a good bit of other East Coast 10th Planets now. Gabe moved to Miami and has 10th Planet Miami down there. Like, we're just all over the place. They've got an affiliate in Ohio. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. for the unfortunate soul that's in Ohio, but that's not neither here nor there. I just want to make sure that we do that. You know what's great though is you are in a good group, and I'm glad that happened for you. I like to ask this question. I might have already gotten the answer, but I would love to get a clarification on it. The answer is very, very important to me because it tells me a lot about your jiu-jitsu. But I always like to ask, when did you fall in love with jiu-jitsu? So was it when you started going to the 10th Planet Bethlehem in those like major long excursions on that one day that you're describing? It was a slip and slide. Was that the day, or was there another day that even when you were starting in the gi that you said, no, I want to do this, but for real?
Honestly, yeah, I definitely think it was the no-gi experience. That first open mat at Bethlehem and just how awesome it was. It was like a 3-hour open mat of just a crazy amount of training. And that was like 2 locations ago, so a lot smaller at the time. So it was just like a skinny little, it was pretty crazy in there. And yeah, it's that day was the day where I was just kind of like, wow, I think I actually really like no-gi because at the time, my gi school, the no-gi training was basically just wrestling. Like they weren't doing a lot of groundwork. It was like all takedown focused, which is cool and all, but as already stated, I suck at wrestling. Wrestling's hard, guys. And it wasn't my favorite thing to do. I much prefer sitting on my butt with 10th Planet people.
Listen, wrestling is great in theory until you have to do it, and then it's hard.
Right.
So I'm always the guy who's in the class. It's like, let's do some wrestling, and then I stand up and I go, why do we do this? This is a stupid thing. We should. None of us are ADCC guys. Everybody sit down. So I love telling people that, but that sounds great. And since then, have you had other fulfilling days for you that you've been like, man, this is what it feels like to be great in terms of how you feel doing jiu-jitsu? Like, if you had other moments where you've kind of been able to sit back and go, I love being in this sport, and if so, when?
Oh my gosh, do you want a list? Because I have so many. Are you kidding? Like, obviously, this past weekend, not too long ago, who's number one? Like, most of these aren't even experiences where I'm doing things. I'm just observing the rest of my crew doing awesome things. But I mean, Subversive, whenever I did like a team thing with Renee and Zach Edwards, that will always be like a special place in my heart. So many I was there whenever John won EBI, obviously. I was there even before we started dating when he had a different girlfriend and he won Ultimate Mat Warriors. Seeing Grace Twister people twice now in person. I mean, yeah, so many cool. I mean, like I said, I'm the ultimate fangirl, so I've had a lot of experiences where I'm just like, this is so awesome that this is my life.
Well, you show up for your team, and I think that, like I said, it's to people like me who, when I am behind the scenes and I am doing an interview or I am watching things around me, I really just try to be observant, but in a very hands-off way. So, like, I don't try to get in the way of moments. I just try to, like, walk in, ask for my interview, and then if they give it to me, cool. If they don't, I just kind of, like, fade out. Most of the time they give an interview because nobody else is there. But when they do, I try to take a scene because if I'm trying to ever describe it to somebody, there's a whole narrative that happens behind the scenes. And I've seen you show up at places and I've seen you do that. But to me, it's like an all-encompassing picture of you're writing and dieting with your team. You're making sure that they're organized. You're putting new opportunities. So even as you're growing in your jiu-jitsu journey, you are paying it forward for people to have really cool and dope experiences. So that's just been something that I've been able to watch on my side. And I wanted to make sure that we properly acknowledged it and discussed what you've been putting together. That's dope. What's coming up, you dummies, in case you want to compete, it's coming up in a few months. You want to get in on that. And then in the future, probably another one of those seminar experiences. So why don't we do this? Why don't we tell the people where they can find you, where they can apply for that the upcoming Sub Out domestic violence event, which I believe is going to be January is when it starts to open. So inform the people on where they need to go and what they need to do.
Okay, for Sub Out, we are at Sub Out Domestic Violence, pretty easy on Instagram. We have a link tree in our bio. You can check out the replay of the last event. We also have the link for the applications in there, but it's not open yet. It's set to open, I think, January 1st. Even though I'm also like, is that a good idea? Because that's New Year's Day. Am I going to do that to myself? But I kind of want to just put it as January 1st because that's an easy day. You know, it's the first of the month. I don't know. We're probably going to go with January 1st, guys. So as of January 1st, that'll be open, and then you could just fill out a quick application, and I'm going to start trying to match people right away. This time, we're opening applications kind of a little bit closer to the event.
Awesome. And do we kind of know when the event's going to be, or is that still TBD?
We definitely know. It's March 27th, I want to say, but let me just double check. Yes, March 27th, which is a Sunday, and it'll be at the same time as our last one, which is 11.
Okay, so as we get closer to that, I'll try and remind people not only to apply, but we'll also remind people to tune in for that. I'm sure you'll probably be running cables while also doing commentary at some point, then maybe doing photographs and working more behind the scenes and even doing catering. So I already look forward to that. Laura, again, I'm so glad that we were able to talk about your events. Congratulations on putting together an amazing tournament. Not even tournament, I'm sorry, grappling event and an amazing seminar. It sounds like you're doing wonderful things. And I know that you mentioned that all those people produce these amazing things around you, but you are now in that league of doing that. So put yourself
Thank
into
you.
that, and you should have a moment to fangirl for yourself. So I hope that you get to take a moment, enjoy what you've done, rest, and obviously, get in some due rest and training for yourself. But I wanted to make sure we acknowledge that, and I appreciate you for coming on the show this week.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me.
All right, everybody, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Grappling Hour. If you've followed us at all on Verbal Tap or the Grappling Hour, you know a longtime friend of the show, Eric Medina, and I'm so happy that we bring him on this episode. We get to hear about how he qualified to represent the United States of America on a super epic competition that is taking place essentially like almost now. So get to know Eric Medina if you don't know him. And if you do know him, we got some really cool information about competition and how to stay within a good zone when shit gets rough. So watch that interview. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you guys in a second.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I am here back in an old haunting ground of mine, one of my favorite places to be in the entire world for training.
It's not haunted.
It's not. Well, it is. It's Halloween. It's definitely going to be haunted in this house. But I'm glad to see a good friend of mine, the owner, the operator, the heart and soul behind the LA Jiu-Jitsu Club, and now a qualified athlete to compete for the United States of America. Please welcome back to the show our friend and yours, Eric Medina.
Hello, everybody. Hello to the millions of viewers at home and across the world.
Thank you. I'd like to
Good
also
morning, Mr. Raf Esparza.
cheers to you. Absolutely.
It is what 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 10:38.
Los Angeles, California. It's raining outside. Pretty rare for us to have some rain. But we need it too.
Well, listen, I'm not against the rain. It's not bad that rain has happened. It's just I knew when I was driving here, I immediately needed coffee. You facilitated that dream, and you gave me a Batman cup, which is important to me because I've always considered myself the Batman of our crew.
This is you are the Batman in DCU, and then you are the Tony Stark in Marvel.
Absolutely.
So like, there's a little cross compatibility. We're all different characters in the same, in the same genre. Your boy just doesn't have the money that Raph has to be Batman,
Don't have the Tony Stark money, but for jiu-jitsu, it's not bad money, honestly. Just all things considered. When I show up,
but you got the tech. See, you have the tech. Like, there's a certain. It's not just about this. Like what you do, The other day, somebody's at JJM, my buddy Albert. He's like, dude, just like watching you move, like. You're like so flexible, like you're like a stretch guy. Like, I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you're like that one guy who could stretch everywhere. I'm like so some people are like, what, like Noodle Man? Like, dude, like shut up. Like, he's talking about like Dr. Fantastic. And I was like, oh, that would be the sickest jiu-jitsu body type.
That's true.
Right. This is like, how would you beat that guy? So then essentially, like, going into this tournament, like, I kind of know my game, and I got to figure out how to implement it to all these people,
Yeah.
So I've been working a lot, man. Just I'm happy. You know, I've been competing just a little bit, but every month. I did the submission series one off, right?
Yeah.
And I won that at 145.
Mm-hmm.
1 month later, I did this trials, right? Won that at 135. And now 2 weeks later, then I got 4 days of competition. So I get 2 days in the gi and 2 days no gi. So then, like, I'll be ready to rock. Like, you know, my power will be off the charts by that last day.
Well, let's talk about the qualification process for this. You've done this before, so you've represented America in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just?
I represented America pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, yes. It was a very different time.
It was a different time. Everybody had hopes and dreams. We were young. We didn't know, like...
Nobody knew what 2020 had in store.
We didn't know about crypto. Like, it was crazy.
So, yeah, you've definitely leaned into the Dogecoin sort of joke, but like the dad version of Doge.
It's not a joke.
Every time you put up...
Except crypto in 2022.
Yes. When you start telling people you'll pay them in one Bitcoin is always my favorite.
So we could make our own Jiu-Jitsu community coin.
Oh, God, no.
A white belt is like 10 credits. Whatever.
What do you get with those credits?
You get like powers of like tell a white belt to pick this up for you. So I don't know. Like,
let's talk about the...
If you need help moving, it's like, all right, like I'm gonna use 500 credits, and like I need 8 guys over here.
This poor black belt's like, babe, I have to respect the coin.
But the black belts have like it's a different the coins. Like once you're a black belt, the coins go like they smash down. They will never get on top. You know.
You know, with John Wick, whenever they have to respect the coin they get.
One moment, those coins, right?
You see John Wick always like, and they go, damn it, John, I'm going to die, aren't I?
This is something like of our community though, right? Because we all work together in like different ways. Barter system, financial, but like it also comes down to like, hey, I'm just gonna help you, like I owe you, and then you owe me or whatever, you know, and then like, man, how many things have happened since then?
Oh God, yeah, there's so many things, and there are some people who are very good at owing you, and just to remind people, okay, qualification process. Mm-hmm. How did that process go? Because I thought the first match that you had maybe 2 months ago, I thought that was the qualifier. So I thought, did you qualify? Like, was that like a qualifier to the qualifier? What was that process?
So I thought so too. Mm-hmm. Well, some people thought so too.
Okay.
In the announcements, in the press, that's what it said, right?
Sure.
And it turns out that was just like a one-off super fight.
Okay.
Whatever, a USS whatever.
Good to keep the reps in either way. Fine.
Yeah. So then the trials come about, right?
Yeah.
And because I won that match, my name's in the trials and they have me at 145.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually a 135 pounder, you know? So I was like, hey guys, can I go to this weight class? And they're like, yeah, but you got to do a petition. And I'm like, what is that? It's like, oh, this is like when you formally requested to do a drop down or something like that.
Okay.
Because now it's getting into different categories, whatever. So I do it, whatever. Cool. I'm in the tournament, 135. No big deal. And this was a no-gi match. Everything was cool. Weighed in a couple hours before the event. And then I was lucky enough that I got to buy my first round. Mm-hmm. And that helped me. And then I saw some of the competition play out. I saw like to the other side of the bracket, right? And then I went against my first opponent who was really game, super tough dude. Dova Dog.
Isaac Cordova, who I mistakenly at one tournament, I think called Matthew. He will not let me live that down.
If you watch that match, that was my hardest match. That guy was super good. And then we were all over the place scoring on each other. Mm-hmm. And I believe that I won by 1 point. Yeah. You know, so like, boom, like that semifinal was really like the hardest one, I feel. Won my match. Everybody makes it to the semifinals. I'm 62 kg. There's different, I think Luis is 72 something right on top of me. Certain people are certain weight classes, and like we're all in the back and they're just like doing a final rules brief and talking to us. And we do like a little interview with Michael Plaster, and he's like, "What's up, Eric? Welcome back." I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, you know,
I never left.
Like, yeah, just right here trying to win my spot, you know, trying to, you know, just trying to make my name in this sport, you know, for this little bit of time.
When that does happen, though, what is going on mentally? Because I saw you right before you went up to compete for your semifinal.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of time that happens. And I know for athletes, there's a lot of things that can go on mentally.
I've told a couple people this, and I'll tell you for whatever, like the viewers at home. I won my first match. I'm in the semifinals. I know I could beat this guy.
Yeah.
Have matches and titles underneath me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm gonna lose.
Really?
This guy's gonna choke me. This guy's gonna armbar me. Like, he's a better wrestler than me. Like, every like little positive that I usually have is like, no. Like, and I'm telling myself this. I'm like looking for reasons to lose. I'm like, what the heck is going on with me? Like, why am I doing this? You know? I did some breathing exercises. I tried to meditate a little bit. And you know, in these positions, like there's people bothering you, like you're not.
Yeah.
So I like went away from everybody. Sorry, put my head on the ground, like prayed for a little bit, you know, just try to find like a little bit of quiet.
Well, you're trying to find your center again.
Mm-hmm. And I just focused on that. Subtly it passed, whatever, and then it was time to compete. So, you know, I'm not immune to that negative self-talk, whatever, like it happened, like, dang, right now, like, dang, this sucks, like, whatever, pass, like, pass, all right, I'm over it, cool, whatever, I'll be fine. But that's, that happens for whatever reason, it happened to me there. But the fact that I talked myself out of it, like, boom, new hack.
Well, most people don't know how to handle that situation. So I think that speaks to your experience of competing for all of these years, you know, not just in jiu-jitsu, but in wrestling. You've been doing this for years.
I have won matches where I thought I was going to win. Mm-hmm. I have won matches where I thought I was going to lose. Right. So it's like, shut up, Eric. Like, just go out there and do it. Don't get in the way. But it happens. I don't know how that as humans, we have a weird, like, negative 10% on ourselves for certain situations. I don't know why that is.
I'll give you my perspective. I thought you were just going to yak and that's what you needed to do. So,
I did throw up after my first match for sure.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I also knew that it wasn't done after you were finished yakking. Like, I knew you threw up and I go, okay, he's got his adrenaline dump. He's in his place. Give him some space, you know, like let you work out what you need to work out.
That's true. Sometimes you do need to be by yourself in this situation. If you spend too much time like being happy or hanging out with other people who aren't, like, you know, you have to be focused. This is very much like a duel. Like, you have to, you know, whatever a fight is, this is a fight to me, you know? So
I tell people all the time, like, you have to know the person and specify the coaching toward the person. If you ever need me, you know to seek me out or find me. And I don't always assume it's going to be me first. I know there are a lot of other people. You had a big support group that came out for that. So everybody plays their role. My thing is always, whenever I do see you, it's quality time of, what do you need? Are you good? And you're telling me, like, I'm fine. And I go, he needs to get there himself. And so I give you that space. And I will say the only thing that made me laugh is that I showed up there, and I think one of your guys, one of our mutual friends, he comes up to me and he's like, hey, Raph, are you going to coach Eric? And I was like, wait, what? And I was about to get out my camera just to take some shots. Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah. I was like, well, who's coaching? They're like, you. I go, wait, no, wait. What do you mean me? Eric, Eric, let's go single low. What are we doing right now? And I just remembered, I was like, if that ever does come up, I always like to have a game plan or talk with you.
We've in our past training camps, we
have a very specific thing that we do.
We have a methodical, like, little system. We stick to it, or we plan B it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like we know the way to win.
For you, I know what you like to do, and I know there was an element of, okay, he may have a different sort of system. I have to learn his system while it's going on live time. And so it obviously worked. It did well. But I just remembered being like, what do you mean nobody's coaching him? I'm coaching him. Wait.
Part of my overall, like, what I really like to do is, if I'm going to play points, I would rather have my advantage going into it with the takedown. If it's 2-0, then I have a little bit of room to breathe, okay?
And because this is the UWW, that's the governing body, there is am I right on that?
This is true. So it's
a little bit more wrestling based.
It's a 5-minute wrestling match with submissions. 100%. So there's a lot of energy when you wrestle, and I don't like to put all that energy out. You know what I'm saying? I'm a counter fighter.
But it's so beautiful because I think, was it in your semis or finals? It might have been in both, but I pretty distinctly remember in your finals, you had a fireman's carry, which is just one of your money moves. And it's just like, I have such, not even, it is jealousy, but it's like, I have such admiration for how you can hit that in really, really tough situations. So you regather all of your thoughts, you get into your finals. When did you feel like it had evaporated or like you had mastered it in a way that you were now going to channel it and use it properly?
Almost always, whatever I'm feeling goes away as soon as you shake your opponent's hand.
Gotcha.
That's like always, almost always. Like, so I at least know that. I at least know that it doesn't stay there. It's that like, that roller coaster of like,
Yeah.
Once you reach the top, you don't keep going. And you're like, okay, boom. And now we're in the match, right? Now we're coming after each other. Are we both going 100%? All right, I have to match as 100% until we settle down and we could, all right, let's strategically engage.
Is that where part of, I tell people who really compete a lot, there is an addiction to it, just like any kind of addiction. Mm-hmm. Is that where part of the addiction comes from in terms of like, man, I went through something, I figured it out, I got some amazing results, I want to do it again.
You be proud. You become proud of yourself, right? You overcome a obstacle, whatever. So this one could be like fear, right? Whatever, and you're like, fuck, I didn't escape it. I went through it. You know what I'm saying? So like, I just saw myself through to the other side. Like, oh, sweet, all right, boom, and you feel. And then, not to say that winning or losing should affect that, but it does a little bit. I don't know how to describe that because you should still be proud of yourself even if you lose. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's like a weird.
Sometimes it's harder to find what you're proud of when you do lose. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's where athletes struggle in terms of, hey, I did these things really well. Maybe I got choked here. Maybe I lost on a wrestling advantage.
You're still climbing the mountain. You're still on the journey, right?
That's sometimes the perspective that I feel like I can provide my friends. Fortunately for you, when you end up walking in and you shake their hand, from that moment on in the finals, though, you were all over this dude. Mm-hmm. And it was so fun to see because, we mentioned the pandemic, but, I've been working. I haven't seen you a ton. But it's like old times where I go, this is great. It reminded me of when we would be heavily working together and doing things where you were doing these amazing things. It was like no time had passed in terms of your competition. So you looked great out there.
Thank you very much. We are very spoiled here in Southern California. We have some of the best jiu-jitsu there is, but when the pandemic hit, it stopped. Yeah. And, everybody had to live a different life for a little bit. But those who were able to keep training and just kind of keep it together were able to really take off when everything was unlocked to them, And I just feel like that's where I'm at right now. I'm lucky to train at John Jocks every day, right? I'm lucky to train with my own students. I'm teaching a lot. Simi Valley 805, UFC Gym Oxnard, CSUN BJJ, and every day with my wrestling kids, right? So I'm still the high school coach. And boom, I have beast wrestlers, right? That's the little hack that I get beat up every day by these amazing wrestlers who are in their prime because they're really going after it. We went to Las Vegas recently for a freak show. Yeah, okay. For Freak Show. So then it's this is going on. Kids compete Saturday, coach competes next Saturday, kids competes next. It's just it's nonstop. But that's the ride that we are on. Everybody's on the ride. Win or lose.
I got two on this one. So first, when the pandemic hit, you were at this time, before anything had shut down, you were really focused in on your students. Mm-hmm. But then the pandemic happened. Did that make you want to compete more during that time because it was essentially taken away?
No, opposite. At that time, I was thinking about life without jiu-jitsu. What else would I be? Yeah. And that's when I started going to flight school and doing all sorts of stuff.
Okay. That's the other thing we haven't talked about in person. Yeah. You just started becoming a pilot all of a sudden. And I was like, yo, Eric's going to make mad bank as a
because being in the military and being around some of the like that stuff. You're like, well, this is so cool, you know? But, flying is very expensive. I'm still a white belt pilot. I got like a couple stripes on my white belt though. I need to still do my solo hours and, but whatever, like that's something that's like in my back pocket of like something that who knows how my life would have been had I not found this.
Do you think that you would have gone toward this whole pilot element had the pandemic not had happened?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. Just like I also picked up guard. You pick up different skills, right? I don't know what you like. We were talking, you've administered COVID stuff like now.
No, hold on. Let's very much. Good Lord. No gain of function here, everybody. Just want to make sure. I was a COVID coordinator for a couple, for one show that I was working on. So I've worked on like 6 different shows since, and working as production, then somebody who helps with the COVID coordination. So it meant like I was coordinating tests for the entire set. Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of people who were like, I don't really believe in this and I don't want to do this. I was like, don't.
Oh, really? You got a lot of pushback on that?
We had some pushback. Most people forget the time during COVID when you didn't work. And I would tell people, I'd be like, I don't care how many times you want to test me. I missed working. Like those 6-7 months where I wasn't on a show, when I got on a show I really liked, made me very sad. So obviously I put a lot of my work back into this show and interviewing people, and that's great. But there's another side of me that likes producing things and shows that aren't necessarily this. And when people would show up and they'd be like, I think this thing is this. And I'd be like, well, cool, just take the test and then go away. I don't really care what you think.
Yeah, I'm not a...
And if this goes above me, the call you're going to get is take this test or go home. Mm-hmm. And I think 98% of the people were good. Some people would like to do the jokes to me and tell me what they thought of things. But yeah, I mean, I never thought I would take one of those positions, but it was a good show. It was a good opportunity. It did change the way that I looked at certain practices. Mm-hmm. But what was very helpful is we were making sure people were safe and that they could go to work. And to me, it was like, I miss working. I know other people need that livelihood too. So being able to return back was like, oh, this is so great. So yeah, it took a little while to get adjusted to it. But I would say, honestly, my main thing when the pandemic hit was just do as many shows as possible. Like at first it was trying to figure out what athletes wanted to talk about.
Like, you're making your money. You're picking up something new, you know?
Yeah. So you going to do something entirely new, I thought was pretty dope, because I don't know if you guys get this vibe about Eric, but he is very in line of the Star Wars religion. So him, really
Star Wars in like Star Wars universe, but like in regular life, your boy's a little bit of a Batman, but I can't let everybody know that, especially when there's another one in front of me.
Yeah, of course. They can't.
I gotta like, all right, Raf's gonna be DCU, I'll be freaking Star Wars.
I just like the idea that it's like, I'm Batman from 5 to 6 a.m. It'd be
like that though. It's really like, dang, like who do I got to channel right now? How do I get some shit done? On some level, hey, what would Batman do?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna break some laws, but don't worry.
I mean, it's for the greater good mostly, unless I lose my shit. So you doing that, you finding being a pilot and being a gardener, like these are elements of things that I go, yeah, it's kind of in line with his warrior spirit and your thing to get you to channel them elsewhere. So what is the experience going to look like now? Because now that you did qualify, you go to Serbia, right? Mm-hmm. Now, what does this process look like?
So Serbia is pretty cool. This whole thing. All right. So I'm lucky enough that I won my match. Mm-hmm. My opponent was very strong. I felt like I had a couple strong submissions on him, or something that I would consider like locked in. Yeah. And like he didn't give up. Oh, so
man. I have a couple photos that I snagged of that, and there was one in a head and arm triangle that he was trying to get out of that I just remembered thinking, no, Eric's got a really good head and arm.
And I had it, I locked it, and I was like, dang, this guy took it. Yeah. I was like, this guy took it. Well, I'm still on top, or I'm still in control, like whatever. I'll set it up again, and then time runs out. Hey, good on him, you know? So boom, we all, like, I win my bracket. Everybody, all the winners win. All right. All winners bring it in. They needed to see our passports. And then right there, Richard Totto, he signs your declaration that you are this weight class representative for United States, and he gives it to you. And it's pretty cool. Like it's almost like my plaque or my certificate over here, but I need to show that with me when I go to that country.
This is so,
You know what I'm saying?
this is stuff that I would never.
This is a Willy Wonka golden ticket. Let me grab it. It's right over there. Sorry.
Eric is going to go ahead and grab just the certificate so that you can see exactly what this looks like. I didn't know there were so many declarations and petitions you had to do for this.
So if you were like if you won the national tournament for USA, whatever, you get one of these.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool though, man.
Check this bad boy out.
Oh my goodness, right over here to this camera.
It's got some, says who I am. Your boy.
It's got your social security number. You want to take it back? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just messing with you, man.
All right. So,
But it's beautiful.
So then it's like you will represent
The United States of America at the UWW Grappling World Championships, October 30th through 31st.
All right. So 30th through 31st. Cool. Whatever. That's awesome. I'm having a great time. You know, Bonnie's right there. My friends and family are right there. Right. Let's party a little bit. Next day, and that's how the night ended, right? Beautiful night.
Yeah.
Oy. Your boy's getting old, okay? So then the next day, like, people are talking back and forth, and then there was like a little group chat for all the winners. Mm-hmm. And then the organization was like, does anybody compete in the gi? I was like, yeah, your boy's right here. What are you doing? I train gi every day.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah. And they're like, okay, like, if you guys want to compete in the gi, you need to leave on this day, and you're in.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh shoot. So I needed to get a blue gi, a red gi, blue gi, blue belt, red gi, red belt. Get it patched up with USA logos. And this is now, I got like a week.
Yeah.
You know, and then now it's like, dang, like who has a red gi? Like that's not something that I normally, you know, that's not a Jedi color.
It's not a Jedi color. But you know what was really great was I loved your joke about, I never thought I would be dressing up like Ken from Street Fighter.
But hey, like, you know, but who is the opposite? Ryu, right? Yeah. Oh shit! Like, so then I was like, Joe, you got a red gi? He's like, yeah, but the sleeves are cut off. I'm like, fuck, all right. Of course, you know.
Yeah.
So
good.
One of my students from UFC Jim Oxnard, Ricardo. Shout out to my boy Ricardo. He was able to lock on a red gi. Didn't really quite know my size. Ordered two of them. One fit me perfect. The other one, my teammate Tara White is getting.
Nice.
So like now Team USA, a little group chat. We're all talking back and forth. Guys, who's got the hookup on patches, COVID tests, all sorts of stuff, you know? So because we're all spread out all over the United States, it's a little difficult.
Yeah.
But the team from California has been in dialogue, and we got a couple training sessions, been training a little bit with Kevin Crane, trained with Tara. She armbarred me. You know, I see Luis's training, and I've been doing the JJM affiliate camp as well. Mm-hmm. So I've been smashing my gi and no gi training together, like boom, 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 every day for a little bit. So I'm pretty tired. I get a full day of rest, and I got to cut some weight too. But, you know, I think I'll boom, you know.
I think people should know there are some of his Instagram stories that were 3-a-day training session.
3 days a regular day, you know? Like 3 days a regular day.
So it is, for me, it is very nice because our little, you know, dog and pony show years ago used to be, all right, let's hustle in the morning. Mm-hmm. Let's all split up.
Yeah.
We'll meet again.
The LA Jiu-Jitsu Club, during that pre-COVID time, what a great spot for everybody who was part of it.
Yeah.
And how many like purple belts, brown belts, black belts did that little group produce?
Yeah.
A lot of them, right?
Yeah.
Going on to win and do amazing things currently. I'm just another product of that training, right? You know, how can you get good at jiu-jitsu? Just hours on the mat, you know?
So, having said that, what is the time difference? Like, what are we looking at here? Because it's going to be on Flow Grappling, right?
Correct.
Okay. So when are we tuning in? Because
your boy doesn't. Let me can I check real quick?
Please,
I'm not
please
too
go
sure.
right ahead. I know, because you know what you did on your Instagram. You just said, here are the dates. And then when I said, here are the dates, I go, do I have to wake up in the middle of the morning? Am I getting a text message?
Forgot how this is going to play out. You're right. I don't know.
Okay. Maybe if I have some time, I will look it up for y'all and I will try to put that information there.
I will send you results.
Okay.
And if you could shoot that out to your network.
I'll actually put that up. Yeah.
If I do lose, I will not say nothing. And then you're like, oh, I guess something didn't happen that day. Whatever, you know.
Eric,
I do believe in those things. Like if you lose, you're just like, well, that never happened.
So it's hard for me to tell this to people, especially all my friends who compete. But there are moments when our friends at our network will be like, yo, did Eric compete? And you'll be like, you should have been here. And they'll be like, can you just give me the results? Nope.
Oh, really? Okay.
Sometimes. It depends on the people.
I got you.
Other times, like...
Dude, this is cool too, right? Like, listen, to experience something in real time is sick too, right? This is, you know...
Well, let me make it clear. I know a lot of the people competing. Mm-hmm. I'll wake up to watch you compete. I'm not waking up to watch Luis compete. Let's be very clear. No, but you're part of our circle. And what we've been telling people is now you represent the United States of America. There's a huge honor in that. That's super great. But you've been there. And I want to know, since you've seen it before, what does it mean now? Like, what does competing in this now mean to you?
Well, I'm very proud to represent my country always, you know, represent my team, represent, you know, my own beliefs of what, you know, make this country great. Mm-hmm. And do so in a respectful manner whenever you are, you know, representing the country. Right. So then here we go. Like, it's also my job to beat people up, and I will do that to the best of my ability, knowing that I have a lot of backing behind me, you know, and I do like a whole little, like, you know, I'm lucky, I'm grateful, like, you know, but I have the training behind me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, what am I bringing? Like, dude, I train with the master every day. Like, you know, I do my own hours. Like, you know, I'm making champions. You know, I'm where can I be beat? Like, let me work on that part. You know, yeah. So as much as I know it's a 32-man bracket, we've seen some of the other countries already. You know. A lot of them are a mix of wrestling and judo players and some X, Y, and Z, you know, so I'm going to have to wrestle every match with a different strategy depending on who I get. But at the same time, like, I'm the guy to beat mostly. That's how I feel, you know, like I want to drive. I want to make the positions happen. So, yeah, dude, just really looking forward to it. I'm not nervous right now. I'll probably get nervous the day when we land, and then now it hits. You know, what's the point of being nervous right now? I got a bunch of work to do.
Yeah, all the logistics to getting there. The Mighty Ducks 2 never covered these parts of it. Listen, the Mighty Ducks 2 didn't have petitions and certificates you need to present. Like, I've never seen, like, dude, this is what I imagine duels must have been like in the old times, where they must have been like, sir, I have presented a paper where henceforth I would like to shoot you at approximately 12:01 p.m. And people go, I have received this. I will give you a receipt for this.
Yeah, let me put my ring. And then the next thing is like, all right, get all the boys. Right now. Get all the boys, because it's gonna yeah. I need a group who wants to partake in violence. All right, let's go.
You know what? I mean,
who's gonna sell tickets?
I think that's a genius idea.
A duel back in the day would have been crazy. And are we talking this? Okay, so now this is a duel, right? What is our weapon? Like, you know, I'm proficient with small arms, rifles.
I have selected the pajamas for this.
Oh, classic, you know, classic, the gi formal. All right, whatever.
Yo,
we should do a show like that. Like, you know,
dude,
choose your weapon.
Now that I'm thinking about it, not choose your weapon. I don't trust any of these goons. But I love the idea of getting people to sign paperwork and present them and literally have formal. Okay, now go murder. Because I think that is probably the best use of all of our time. Okay. That happens. That is going to be coming up. So in the next few days, October
30th, 31st is for gi. Okay. No gi. October 29th and 30th is for gi.
Okay.
So I got 4 days of competition, two separate competitions.
Okay. Beautiful.
4 days of making weight.
So you have to make weight each day?
I believe so, yes.
Woo! Can't just like hit the scale and then go eat. And then it's like, no, you got to be this.
You got to be this.
Okay. I mean, the good news is you'll have high competition, so you'll probably get out most of that weight and maintain like that. But it's nice to see that they want to stay at a consistent weight for you
This
guys.
is cool to travel and stuff like this and to experience stuff, but sometimes like you're just gonna be in your hotel room miserable. You know what I'm saying?
That's essentially it.
Even ADCC, they talk about that, like the weigh in the next day. That's what breaks a lot of people.
That's true.
You know, because jiu-jitsu folk are not used to that.
Oh, no.
Wrestling, you're used to that.
So no chances of you showing up like Paulo Costa being like, I'm not losing the weight.
No way, dude. I probably won't even leave here today without being a certain weight.
Yeah.
Because I got a full 24 hours of travel, right?
Yeah.
There goes a day that I need traditionally to cut the weight. Right?
And travel food is not always the easiest weight cut for you.
I'm gonna want to eat a little bit on the plane, or sleep on the plane, right? Or drink water on the plane. So I don't know.
Well, okay.
So like essentially, I still got work to do. So nervousness doesn't creep in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. We know that's coming up. We'll watch that end of this week. Very happy about that. Now, what happens when you come back? So, what are you looking to do once you come back from this incredible experience that only a handful of people are going to get? So there's going to be a nice little crew of you that are going to come back. And when you come back to civilian life this way, what is next in line for Eric Medina?
I'm going to try to hit East Coast trials.
Okay.
All right.
Wait, did you already sign up?
No.
Okay.
Is it done?
It's done.
All right.
So you're going to do West Coast
So I'm
trials.
going to try it. That's not going to happen. All right. West Coast trials. All right. I'm going to put that on the calendar. It's high school wrestling season, right? Everybody's competing. So every Saturday I'm going to be somewhere with the kids. What do I want to do, man? I think right now it's just, I'm probably going to be looking to open up my own spot.
Okay.
And, I talked to you a little bit about it. Some people know, but I just think it's time, and I got the blessings from a lot of people. A lot of people are very excited. So I got to lock down a spot and, go from there. But when I come back, even during this time away, like I'm going to be putting pen to paper and doing the necessary work to get the ball rolling. But yeah, dude,
I think
this will be like maybe an LAJJ Club 2.0 or something like that. Or I've been playing around with a couple names, but right now I'm just focused on swinging my sword.
You should. And, you're at this good age still athletically. You are at a great place in your jiu-jitsu. Getting these opportunities, take them, enjoy them for exactly what they are, and we'll always expect you to come back and kill it and be a great instructor. I think the thought of even you working with kids has always been a fantastic thing because you've always been very good to them. You take care of them. You instill good values in them.
Yeah, this is it.
Wrestling with
this
them.
is I had wonderful coaches coming up. Even to this day, I have amazing coaches. Like I've always been coached at the highest level by like the champs of the sport.
Yeah,
and man, I got to figure out how to become one of them myself, so I could raise the next batch of champions, which I'm very proud of them as they, everywhere, Simi Valley, UFC, wherever I'm a part of, wherever I'm teaching, I'm very proud to be an instructor there.
Well, I'm very happy for you, man. I look forward to whatever's next. I think whoever gets to learn from you would be very lucky. Your technique has always been one of my favorite things to reference. And I'm looking forward to things. I also noticed that you brought these cards here. You even have, look at this.
Yeah.
You got Coach Eric.
My students are the best. Look at it. I get little gifts all the time. I get like little thank you notes and stuff. That's like that. Sweet. Like, yeah, thank you guys. This is, everybody comes to my matches, this is a very special time for me. This is a very like, I get to enjoy it in so many different levels, and what a wild ride it's been. But it's not over yet.
No.
It's like next level. This is I get to compete at black belt now. As of right now, I am undefeated at black belt. That does make me a little happy. If I don't do well, I'm gonna say, well, I wasn't wearing my black belt. Like I'll make it so that I still stay undefeated in some level, and I'll use that,
But like you mentioned,
undefeated in the United States, leave me. God.
This guy's gonna have every asterisk possible.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
for sure.
I'm undefeated on Tuesdays. I want to make sure you guys know that. Well, listen, dude, I'm rooting for you. I cannot wait to see what's happening. I think it was great to get to see you compete in person again.
Thank you for being there.
Oh, absolutely, man. I will always show up for you. That's not a problem. It
was a fun one, right? It was
was
cool.
fun,
it
dude.
was a fun event.
and shout out Submission Only
Series does a great job. Mike Wilson, our homie Blair Green, everybody's doing their best. This is the rule set that has the best chance of making it to the Olympics. If you look at how is jiu-jitsu as we know it going to be it. You're going to have one that's gi as we know it, one that's no gi as we know it. The rules are going to be to create action, right? And to create the submission. Yeah. And you got 5 minutes, make it happen. So it's going to be wrestle jitsu, that's essentially our specialty.
I mean, it's always been a good bread and butter for you. So
Americans love that, that's our style.
As we close, I'll tell you this last story. I think I was sitting next to the worst audience member I've ever been next to in my entire years of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, of being both an MMA and jiu-jitsu coverage guy. And this guy would literally look at somebody, not even pull guard, and just go, "This is why it's not successful. This is this." And at one point, Frosto was about to go, and I thought he was about to talk trash to Frosto, and I was almost gonna hand him a ticket,
really?
A business card, and be like, "Can you come here tomorrow? Would you like to go and show up here?" But there was a point where this dude was trying to express his feelings about, and he didn't even sound like he understood wrestling all that well, but he's like, "Yeah, I just come from a wrestling background where things are just very exciting and whatnot." And I go, "You're kind of the dumb person we have to win over, unfortunately." There is a mentality for that.
A little bit, yes. And if you look at the demographics, that's that not almost an old school wrestler.
Yeah.
Because the new wrestlers of today, you see them doing jiu-jitsu, you see them doing Imanari rolls, you see them cross training, right? Yeah. So that stigma is now it's that's going to be a prejudice of whatever.
My dad used to think that.
My dad said, "No one will ever take me on my back. You see this bridge?"
So as a result of that, when this kid said this one thing, I was trying to be nice. And then he caveated it with, I don't know much about this. And all I said to him afterwards with trying to be nice is I go, "We know. We're aware. We know you don't know anything." And I tried to be inclusive, but man, you could see a couple of the people who were watching me talk to this guy. And as I was shooting, going, "Okay, dude, chill. You're good. Never take it on the athletes you see in front of you."
For sure.
So I'm always very conscious of those things, but good for you, man.
Again, we're gonna win that guy. We're gonna educate him.
I don't know that I want him. I'll take everybody but that guy.
Right,
everybody who is in the audience.
That's the guy that gets ankle locked on his first class. And I knew I should never have done this.
That's the guy that I go, he can leave. He doesn't need to be at this cool party. Eric, again, good luck to you, my friend.
My pleasure. Dude.
Much appreciation for your time. Hey, don't you guys go anywhere. We got more Grappling Hour coming up right after this.
All right, everybody, that is going to do it for this week. I'm stoked that you stayed for the whole thing. And those who stay for the whole thing, you get to know things before anybody else. Coming up next week, we have an Interbrew. That's right, the return of the world-famous Interbrew segment where we chat with our good friend, Kevin Ross. You'll also see a highlight video prepping for his next fight. So that is coming up next week. We always have guests coming in and out, but I know you guys are stoked, because I am, about ADCC trials. That is why we are returning with another fight companion. We announced that a little bit earlier, but we want to remind you guys that is November 6th and 7th. You will not need to go anywhere else. You can buy Flow Grappling, but if you don't have Flow Grappling or you want different commentators, you can come to us. We're going to be watching along with you, and I promise you, we will actually make it entertaining, because other places don't. Just saying. There are rules and things that confine them, but on our show, we just drink and make fun of things. So, and you never know who's going to stop by. That's going to do it for us here at the Grappling Hour. Give us some love on all the major social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Periscope, if that's still a thing. I think it's dead. All of those channels, all you have to do is find us at Grappling Hour. And if you go on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review, and find us also on Spotify. We are going to be revamping those channels in a major way, just like we've done visually here. And I would beg to say, aesthetic and audio wise. So if you know what we've done here, you know what's coming up on those pages as well. I love you guys. I appreciate you. It has been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.